6 o'clock. Good morning for the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Will Bowling. One Titans free agency target is off the board. Defensive end Chase Young plans to sign a one-year, fully guaranteed $13 million deal with the New Orleans Saints. The former number 2 overall pick was scheduled to take a visit to Tennessee this week. The Titans did host one defensive lineman yesterday, though, and former Chargers tackle Sebastian Joseph Day. Joseph Day was a 6th-round pick in 2018 by the Los Angeles Rams before signing a 3-year deal with the Chargers and finishing last year in San Francisco. Tonight, the NCAA Tournament officially begins with the first 4 in Dayton. Howard takes on Wagner at 5:40 on True TV in a 16 versus 16 matchup. Then Virginia takes on Colorado State at 8:10. The winner of that one will face Texas, who is the 7 seed, compared with Tennessee in the Midwest region. For your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. Tuesday morning in Nashville, and a brand new 4 hours of RKW is hot off the press and ready to go. We are brewed up by 8th and Rose, Tramone Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. Reed Smith fills in for Robert Walsh behind the glass this morning. The phone number 615-737-1045. We've got Austin Price discussing March Madness and spring practice, diving into the biggest holes on the Tennessee Titans roster 1 week into free agency, and Ron Slay talking us down or building us up, talking a little bit of Tennessee and SEC hoops this morning. Good morning, everyone. How are we?
Good.
Good morning. Good morning, good people.
It is cold out there. So I might look a little wrapped up on the stream today, but that's for good reasons.
Yeah.
But we got our coffee. We're revved up, and it's a Tuesday, baby.
It's a Tuesday, Taco Tuesday, and this thing, man. It's good. I actually slept hard last night.
Did you?
Which is good. I needed. I was real tired yesterday. I'm gonna be real.
Can I
with
get
you.
some of that? Because I did not sleep an inch last night.
Hey,
An inch?
Yeah.
I was tired.
How do you sleep an inch?
An inch. I moved
an
about
ounce of
15
sleep.
inches. Yeah.
Yeah. I slept hard. I went to bed and did not wake up till I woke up. So
That's
thank
good
God
stuff.
for that. But I needed it though. It was catching up with me. But it's Tuesday and we're here and
Tournament week.
Tournament week. First 4 play in you just had on the update, Will.
Howard and Wagner.
Ooh.
And then Virginia, Colorado State, which will set the game of basketball back at least 5 years.
Defensive game. Ooh.
I saw a tweet yesterday that said every year there is one NCAA tournament game that people that don't watch college basketball will watch and then insult all of college basketball with and say, this is why the NBA is so much better. And this is that game.
This is that game. I hate those people, though. Okay?
I do too.
if they can talk about what we indulge in, and I can talk about not liking that, and I'm okay with that. Other than that, man, I mean, it's cooler outside. Again, we talked about this being the last time around probably until April.
Do you guys know it's officially spring at like 10-something tonight?
What's today's date? Is it really? I thought it was like the 21st, 22nd.
Yeah, I thought it was the 21st.
No, tomorrow's the first full day. I was watching the news this morning. Don't ask me, how I'm getting up that early to do that.
Vampire hour.
I was, but she said it's the first day of spring officially at 10-something tonight. Tomorrow's the first full day. Megan Thomas of News 2. And I'm going, what?
Yeah.
But it's like 20 degrees out.
Yeah, it's just how it is. I mean, spring coming early. I'll take it. Yesterday was a beautiful day, though.
It's only cold this morning. It's supposed to be like 57.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it'll warm
So it makes
up.
sense.
But
Yeah.
it was beautiful all yesterday. I was out a little bit yesterday, man. It was a
Sun was
really
shining.
dope day. Yeah, super sunny and cloudy, too, which I'll take as opposed to the opposite. But nothing crazy yesterday, though, man. Not on my end. What about on you guys? Is there
No.
anything crazy?
Nothing crazy.
We gotta get
I
more
felt like it was
eventful.
the first day that we weren't looking at. I mean, obviously Chase Young made a visit.
Yeah,
we saw what
he
happened
did.
with that. We'll talk about it in a minute. But I just felt it was the first day I wasn't on my phone every 2 seconds, maybe every like 15 minutes. But checking for, something in terms of free agency drops.
Yesterday, my youngest, they started their spring break in Sumner County. By the way, if you want to do anything in Sumner County, this is the week, okay?
Because they're out.
It's been a restaurant you're trying to go to. Guess what? This is the week to go, not overly crowded. My youngest, though, man, he's just like, I can't wait for spring break. I want to go to a brunch. I'm like,
a brunch? In this economy?
That's your son.
That's what Keisha said.
That is your son. That's right.
Brunch. I love it.
That is very you when you'll just be like, let's find a good brunch spot.
Yes.
Is there any brunch places we can order today that we haven't had in a while?
Yeah.
No.
A brunch. I love it.
Right.
Apple doesn't fall far.
It does not, and that scares me, y'all. I'm going to be real. He's so much like me, man, in attitude and like decision making and stuff like that. Like I was upset about his broken foot, but I'm like, I'd probably do the same thing. I'm gonna be real with y'all, and I did do the same thing one time. I wasn't supposed to go to somebody's pool, and I did go anyway. I was with my cousin, so I thought it was all right. They went, so I went. So similar situations, man, but. Considering we're on two different school schedules right now. My oldest is in one school and my youngest is in another school system. So
so what's the difference?
Yeah, we're not a week difference. We're not going out of town or anything like that for spring. First world problems, okay? Heck, ask me how many times I went out of town for spring break. Maybe once in my lifetime.
I did once also. It was 6th grade. Other than that, we were here.
You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm also learning is high school kids that play spring sports, well, baseball. You don't get a spring
Tough.
break.
No way.
Yeah.
Nope.
You might get from like that Friday to Tuesday because they had a game last Wednesday.
Yeah, I would just stay here and train because they would give us a meet like right when we got back from spring break to motivate us more to practice while we were on spring break, which was very smart. So we would have like a big race like right when we got back. So I would just stay.
Yeah.
So you would just stay.
I've told you all this story before, but I would like take my shoes off and put my feet in the long jump pit. Be like, I love the sand at the beach. And it would just be my feet in the long jump pit.
He's got a heater for like the heat part. Like,
hey, you knew how to make a good time out of nothing.
That's right. Absolutely. Well, it was in those weeks where you feel like you're a professional athlete.
Yeah, you do.
Because all you do is just train and recover and sleep and like eat and everything. So
that's so true. I gotta give you that. But that is the schedule that we're on right now. So my youngest just wanted to do stuff around the city, and we kicked it off by doing a little brunch with him.
Where'd you go?
Watch First.
Oh, I love any of those places.
No, well, Watch First. What are you talking about?
Broken
Hey, you
egg,
switch
Watch
letters
First.
around.
It's not Donald's Mick. What are you
First
doing?
Yeah.
It's not
Watch
KCF.
First.
Kentucky Chicken Fried. Like, what are we?
You're so quick with it, man.
It's a new franchise.
It's not Roasted Eighth.
Roasted Eighth.
We're brewed by Roasted Eighth this morning.
Yeah, Roasted
on 104.5
Eighth.
The Zone.
Roasted Eighth is a different avenue we're
Roasted
talking
Eighth.
about.
What are you talking about?
I'll tell you off air. Okay. Hey, okay. But what I'm saying is he enjoyed it, man. He went back upstairs, played the video games and stuff like that, which he just got his phone and stuff back too.
Wait, you got it taken away?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Oh.
In our house, grades come first. And I think when he messed up his foot, he didn't go to school for a couple days. He was excused and stuff. So he thought that when he got his work, he wasn't supposed to turn it in. So he's fresh off. Okay, punishment. So he was able to turn it back in and get his grades back up. So that's all that matters.
Good. I'm glad he got it back.
Again, my type of stuff that I would do. No, I never did that. He got that from his Uncle Josh. I always turn in work. My grades were always high.
Uncle Josh passed it along.
That's an Uncle Josh.
Let's get a text from Josh in 5.
I'm telling you, that's an Uncle Josh thing right there. I always turn in work because I was scared of my mama.
Mm-hmm.
We was gonna have good grades.
Question of the morning: what is your favorite upset that one of your teams has pulled off in honor of the NCAA tournament?
Mine
Doesn't have to be basketball.
Oh,
doesn't have to be basketball.
No, I said any of your favorite teams.
My fandom started post-retirement, like legitimately started post-retirement. So Bama, Tennessee is always easiest for me.
Easy choice.
Yeah, easy choice. Or Georgia, Dobbs.
That wasn't an upset.
That wasn't an
Tennessee's
felt like it to me. Felt like it to me.
Yeah, it wasn't an upset.
But Bama, Tennessee.
Okay.
Alabama, Tennessee. Okay. I actually picked one that is not necessarily my team, but a team that I enjoyed following when they were kind of in their peak in terms of basketball right here in Middle Tennessee. I really enjoyed Middle Tennessee basketball. I don't know what my fascination was with them when they were under their Kermit Davis days, but I was fascinated by this team, and I was reminded of it when I went to cover the TSSAA Boys Championships this weekend. They have, the blown up photos of when they had their runs in the tournament, and I remember that 2016 year when they played Michigan State. Michigan State was the 2 seed, but a lot of people at that time thought this was a group that could win it all. And, Middle Tennessee was able to get that done. I thought that was such an incredible upset, and a mid-major team that we kind of start to talk about Cinderellas and everything. This was definitely one of those teams you thought about. I think it was Reggie Upshaw. He led the way. And
the pride of Chattanooga.
Yeah, they had
from Baylor.
5 starters in double figure. I mean, it was a really incredible performance. So I loved that upset.
Dwayne has already submitted that one on Twitter at Ramon Kayla Will and said Middle Tennessee over Michigan State 8 years ago, 15 over a 2. And that was when that wasn't really happening.
Boom.
Because you had MTSU and you had Nicholls State who beat Missouri, I believe, in the same tournament in 2016, if I'm not mistaken.
Man.
Because I picked Michigan State to win the national championship that year.
Yep.
And then I think I picked Missouri in the other year where that happened. I'm not sure. It may have been the same year. But for me, it is a shorthanded Tennessee team beating number 1 Kansas in 2010.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you remember that game. That was after suspensions and after Tennessee was not playing with Melvin Goins, Cameron Tatum, or Brian Williams. And then Tyler Smith had just been kicked off the team at Tennessee. And Scotty Hobson led the way with 17 points. And Skylar McBee, the pride of Granger High School in Rutledge, Tennessee, put in about a 32-foot 3 at the last minute of that game to put it away and beat the Jayhawks at home. That one was the most improbable of the upsets Tennessee had.
I was at that game.
Were you really?
Yep. Little kid
Nice.
up, nosebleeds.
I was going to say, how
Way
old
up
were you?
there.
In diapers?
2010? Give Reed some credit.
Yeah, I was.
It was only 14 years
Hey,
ago.
Take
I
it
was-
while
I was
you
nine.
can. Take it while you can.
9 or 10.
Okay.
I was only
Fair.
13, so I'm right there with you.
Okay, that's awesome. Brian Williams, that's my era right there.
Brian
man.
Williams is a
Tyler.
Dang good player.
Yes, he was, man. And Tyler, you talking about a group right there, dog. That was awesome. It was so fun kicking with them dudes, man.
Basketball players were always cool. I remember them in college, too. Like, we have our football friends, but then basketball guys were so much cooler.
Yeah, they're
Like,
cool
they're
as
just
heck.
chill.
We had a well-rounded campus, I would think, for the most part.
Us, too.
615-737-1045 if you want to give us your favorite upset one of your teams has ever pulled off. Coming up, though, we'll give you a little bit of guidelines, some advice on your March Madness bracket, how to pick it, and how you can try to beat us. Coming up next.
It's Ramon Foster for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, man. I'm here to tell you that March is Happy Hiller Golden Ticket Sweepstakes, okay? Which means you can win. And all you got to do to win is this. Enter to win at HillerGoldenTicket.com. All you got to do is enter your email, and you automatically enter to win something. Prizes include a $5,000 Hiller gift card, or you can also get a $1,000 Hiller gift card, or be one of 10 Happy Hiller Club memberships that are passed out, or just simply take advantage of the 0-interest financing for 48 months on select new HVAC systems, or 36 months on tankless water heaters and whole home generators. Don't miss on this. Enter to win now at HillerGoldenTicket.com.
Tuesday morning at RKW is brewed by 8th and Rose, Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, Reed Smith making the show happen. This is a good way to get Ramon Foster going.
That's what I was saying,
Early
Reed.
in
What
the
you
morning.
trying to get,
He
man?
read his mind.
I owe you something.
March Madness, baby.
A little
Yeah.
March Madness. I saw the video of Future debuting this recently. I was like, it is March Madness turn.
That got me going here.
I remember the first time I heard this song, I was filling in as the public address announcer for my high school. And so I texted the guys. It was like, what do you guys want for the starting lineup music? And they were like, can we get March Madness by Future? Sure.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Salute
Absolutely.
to him.
And now,
right?
starting at guard.
Oh, that's good.
From Ripley, Tennessee,
it is.
Ramon Foster.
I'd have been so hyped. You hear me?
That's right.
And for about 2 years straight, this was the last song I played before going on the field.
Really?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Me and my homeboy Marcus used to play this about 2 years in a row before the game started. March Madness had to, because it does something
Gets you
to
going.
It gets you going.
It's a good one.
It is a good one. He got one for that one. And it's appropriate because it is officially March
Yeah.
Madness time.
We got games tonight. Heck yeah.
Yes,
Last
we
thing
do.
I would do before races is listen to the All I Do Is Win remix.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's a good one, too.
That is a good one.
Solid.
Mm-hmm.
Then I wouldn't win, but that's okay.
All right. You had the mindset at least to try.
Yes.
The effort that
That's
counts.
the mindset. Yeah.
You got your mind right.
It's like that sometimes. All I need to do is be in the right mind space sometimes. And music does that to you.
Caden in the F&M Bank chat on Twitter says on Best Upset, as a Fort Myers resident now, you still see the impact of Dunk City, Florida Gulf Coast for Best Cinderella.
That's very
That was
true
a great
too.
story.
Yeah, that one's awesome. It was like we talked about a little bit yesterday. The issue is who's going to be the Cinderella. Every year there has been a Cinderella, and you can't point them out, and that's what's going to break everybody's bracket. I had a lot of people.
I've tried to point them out. It never works for me.
I've heard McNeese State.
Yeah, we got one tweet that says the one that's happening this Thursday, McNeese over Gonzaga.
Yeah,
was that?
I think there's more people taking McNeese than Gonzaga at this point. Really, I really do.
Yeah,
Everybody I talked to said they're taking McNeese.
Them, and I'm gonna throw Grand Canyon out again, just because they have
Fair.
a good program so far.
Gosh, Vandy should call their coach. He's doing such a good job.
Bryce Drew.
Oh, it's Bryce Drew. Yeah, I know.
Well, yesterday, I know like two Vandy coaches that are doing really well right now.
Shea Ralph.
Yes. So my wife was like, "So you mean to tell me it might be Vandy that's the problem?" I was like, "Stop."
Maybe Shea Ralph can coach the men's team.
Stop. Like no.
Shea Ralph and Tim Corbin.
People do better in other places. Okay. Either way.
So the rules for making your bracket this year. First of all, the first rule is go to our Twitter at Ramon Kayla Will and join our bracket group and try to beat us.
Let's go. I got to do that today.
Yeah, I'm knocking it out today too. I did a soft one yesterday just to see. Okay, what does this look like?
A soft
one?
launch.
Yeah, I did.
You soft launched your bracket.
Soft
I
launch of the
did. I
bracket.
soft launched it. Okay, because it's like, all right, this is what I really want to happen. Okay, now let's
Yeah.
talk about what's going to happen. So that'll be today
That's
at
good.
some point. So yeah, I did a soft launch of my bracket.
Launch.
Yeah.
So it's called the RKW Bracket Challenge. We just retweeted it. So if you want to go to our X account, which I refuse to call it, at Ramon Kayla Will, it is right there for you.
Perfect. Challenge us. Come on. Let's go.
What do we get for winning? Just bragging rights at this point?
Yeah, you
That's
get to
about it?
say you're better than us.
Yeah.
That's
You
rare.
can call in every day.
You can try.
I don't know about every day.
Okay, I'm
but,
lying.
It's DJ says Oregon over South Carolina for an upset. That's a good one. That may or may not be in mine.
I got one from when my brother was playing at Louisville. Louisville over Miami. I think it was like 2006 when Miami is supposed to be really that good too. My brother Renardo, like that's when when Louisville turned into like a powerhouse with playing in the Orange Bowl and stuff like that. I was super proud just because my brother was starting. He went from tight end to tackle while at college too. So and started like within a year. I was like, okay. Yeah.
I hear that a lot too. Like
Patino.
Brunskill
No,
did that.
Petrino. Petrino was
Oh,
there.
you're okay.
Yeah, when Petrino
was there.
Yep. That was super cool, those upsets.
And then Miami went down in terms of what they did, and then they were back last year.
They were back. Yep.
Rue on Twitter says Preds sweeping the Blackhawks to start the 2017 Cup run. Best upsets.
Heck yeah.
I remember where I was watching every single one of those games in college.
You watched it deeply, intensely back then, too?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Always.
That was a party. All I remember is the year before I moved here, and I was watching, obviously, the playoffs, and I just saw the streets of Nashville just flooded, and it was just such a massive party as they continued to make their way through the Stanley Cup playoffs. That was incredible to watch from afar.
Yeah. What's crazy is
It was
hockey
incredible.
did it here.
Yeah.
That's what's even wild. You know what I do not like, though, people pandering to Nashville about? There's some dudes on social media right now that are overly pandering to the baseball stadium coming here crowd. Like, I saw and I scrolled right past it, like, no, this is not true. He put it in, like, the middle, like, downtown area somewhere, too. I'm like, come on. Like, stop doing this for clicks and stuff.
They're doing that in Atlanta, too, to get the Thrashers right
oh,
now.
really?
And it's just like they are pushing so hard to like try to get that hockey team back there. Like there's a reason it left.
Yeah, and I'd love to have a baseball team here too.
I
but
would too.
I'm of the mindset like it's not the time just yet. It's
not
just
that
really
easy.
ain't. No,
I think Atlanta's way closer to having hockey than we are having baseball. We don't have the money for baseball right now.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree with that.
Not as a ownership group or as a city, unfortunately.
Yep.
Plus, we're all Braves fans. Come on, what are we doing? All right, so ESPN.com puts out the stats to remember when making a bracket. Eliminate at least one number 2 seed prior to the Sweet 16. So number 2 seeds advance to the second weekend of the tournament at a considerably lower rate at 63% than 1 seeds do, at 84%.
Did not know that.
Fascinating.
So since seeding began in 1979, all 4 2 seeds have reached the Sweet 16 only 6 of 44 times. So number 2 seeds in the Sweet 16, most often only 2 of them make it to the Sweet 16.
Tough band too. I guess that's why I make a big fuss about, who's 1 versus 2 in this one because the matchups, right? And then that's the other thing too. If you're slightly better than a 16, meaning you're 15, you may be actually a competitive squad. That's what's so scary about March Madness. When you're actually messing around with it and maybe trying to put a little money in the pot, it's like you really cannot tell who's going to show up and who won't on these days. And there might be matchups to a team you have no real history on.
Mm-hmm.
Next one, eliminate. So behind eliminate 1 number 2 seed before the Sweet 16. Advance 1 double-digit seed to the Sweet 16.
Okay. Makes sense.
So if you have looked at your bracket so far, Ramon is grabbing a piece of paper.
Is that the bracket?
It is.
Yeah.
1 double digit.
Oh god, like I can read this. It's like,
Oregon is your team.
man, people are on the
Oregon
Ducks,
is possibly one. Made a run in their conference championship. Oregon is one. I've got James Madison over Wisconsin and Duke.
I'm with you on James Madison.
12 seed. Go
Yep,
Dukes.
I'm with you on that one.
You know who's that double-digit team? Grand Canyon is. I'm high on that one.
You
got
to go with that. I feel like that's
I may end
guy.
up going with that one right there. Them or NC State.
I like NC State too.
NC State versus Kentucky would be a thing. And again, it matters how physical Kentucky's going to be. Although I heard Savage, I'm talking about him yesterday, and the rate that Kentucky can get up the floor and score, I think NC State may be too big of a team. But NC State,
I'd love to
Grand
see it.
Canyon are the 2, I would think.
Fair enough. And then last one they've got here is the stats on that. So national champions by seed. Pick a 1 seed to win the national championship. Don't get too creative. 1 seed since 1979 have won 26 of the 44 national championships.
Yeah.
59%.
UConn, baby.
Really?
Yeah.
There you go. Breaking news.
I know. Shocking.
Yeah, Houston.
You going with
Houston's
Houston?
good enough, yeah.
Sampson's team.
Houston.
Well, beyond that, we have a new Mel Kiper mock draft this morning.
It's a pretty solid.
Oh, my
Doesn't
goodness.
About
make
an hour
sense.
ago.
It's back.
Number 1, Caleb Williams, Chicago Bears, as we shift gears here courtesy of ESPN.com. Mel Kiper putting this out within the last hour or so. Jana Daniels 2, which Ramon has been championing for some time, to the Washington Commanders.
Mm-hmm.
Drake May, number 3. Nothing weird yet. Marvin Harrison Jr., 4. Malik Neighbors, 5. Rome Odunze 6, and Joe Alt at 7 to the Tennessee Titans.
Boom.
Makes a lot of sense. The one that's been the biggest conversation as of late has been Marvin Harrison Jr. versus Malik Neighbors.
Dude, Daniel Jeremiah has pretty much like put him ahead of Marv.
Yeah, he has. And they said it comes down to preference. Said it's both of them are good, can be great, and you expect them to play early and often. It really does come down to the preference. His preference is Malik Neighbors over Marvin Harrison Jr., which is crazy because this type of stuff happens when you have a player who's been consistently good since the time they walked in, right? That's Marvin Harrison Jr. versus a guy who's had a good year and a half in Malik Neighbors. And you see what their athletic ability is. Like, it may be perceived that Malik Neighbors may be a better athlete than Marvin Harrison Jr. But when you look at it, it may be, to me, Marvin Harrison Jr. is just going to be a better pro because he was raised in it. And they both will be good. But the conversation in the back and forth that he's continually saying is don't be surprised if Malik Neighbors go ahead of Marvin Harrison Jr. Mm-hmm. He has him going before. At least it's on his board. It's Malik Neighbors all day long, which I love and hate that because it's a conversation. But to me, it just seemed like the sure bet is Marvin Harrison Jr. I guess it's the same way we're toying back and forth on do you get Joe Alt or Fashioner, right? Or do you do Joe Alt or Rome Odunze? So it's those type of things that really complicate what draft season is. And mock after mock after mock is going to say different things. And we've yet to talk about trades. I mean, you got Minnesota right now that's harboring 2 first-round picks. It can't be just to draft 2 first-round players. I don't think. To me, it's the potential to move up. I don't know if that's number 2. I don't know if that's number 3. But they still need a quarterback because they don't have a guy that I would think Justin Jefferson wants to catch the ball from. And I think Sam Darnold could be all right. He's all right. Yeah, he's
no,
all right.
He's not going to be their starter.
But how do you
that
keep
long.
a franchise wide receiver happy? It's by having a heck of a talent at quarterback.
Well, and you're close enough to make a move to get your quarterback this year. I'm sorry, you can't not go get your quarterback. Yeah. And I know that there's certain things they can and can't do in terms of how far they move up. But maybe J.J. McCarthy is their guy. I don't know what that front office is thinking, but it's definitely, we've seen it more now than ever, guys, and I don't think it's a surprise. There are teams that are going to take the quarterback. They're going to maybe give them 2 years. They'll still be on their rookie contract, and we've seen it this year alone with 2 guys, being shipped off, and they're still on their rookie contract. So it's not like this is something that is not happening now in this day and age in terms of the NFL. So go get your guy if you're Minnesota. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, you move on. Mm-hmm. You go to the next one.
Daniel Jeremiah did say yesterday on Twitter the specifics of the tweet you are referencing. Quote, I wouldn't be shocked if Malik Neighbors ended up being the first wide receiver off the board. I love Marvin Harrison Jr. and Odunze, but Neighbors brings a different element. It'll come down to preference of style, but I guarantee some teams will have Neighbors at the top of the list.
He loves Neighbors. I don't care. He loves Neighbors.
And so somebody in the comments hit him with a follow-up question, which is what you do sometimes. Said, what's the different element? I follow you more than any other draft experts, so I'm genuinely curious what Neighbors does that neither Marvin Harrison Jr. or Rome can do. And his reply, speed, run after catch.
There you go.
Speed and run after catch. Marvin Harrison Jr. seems to do well with that, though, too.
Let me throw out a hypothetical that is not likely, but is worth discussing anyway. On the chance that Marvin Harrison Jr. somehow makes it to the Titans, you have to take him, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen, let's be honest, because Marvin Harrison Jr. will not fall further than 4. But if it somehow did, is that the one wide receiver you would prioritize over Joe Alt?
To me, that is the Jamar Chase.
100%.
I think so, too.
That's the equivalent right there, right? Yes, that's the decision to be made. I'm taking Marvin Harrison Jr.
100%.
I'm sorry.
No, I would too.
I'm taking him.
So past this in Mel Kiper's new mock draft, 8 Dallas Turner to the Falcons. That seems to be a foregone conclusion at this point. Jared Verse to the Chicago Bears at 9, which is interesting. Wouldn't be surprised if they traded back there from 9 to get more assets and take someone like Brian Thomas or add another wide receiver into that group with Keenan Allen and DJ Moore. Brock Bowers, 10 of the New York Jets, and the Minnesota Vikings and Denver Broncos both taking quarterbacks. Number 11, J.J. McCarthy to the Vikings. Who do you think number 12 is? Who's the next quarterback?
Bo Nix.
Correct. Is it Bo Nix?
Bo Nix to the Denver Broncos at 12 is what Mel Kiper has. So
okay.
It's Groundhog Day. We're propping up quarterbacks that aren't actually very good the closer we get to the draft.
It's not Michael Penix Jr.
I hate this. I absolutely hate this.
I saw somebody say yesterday if Washington had ended up losing in the semifinal, Michael Penix Jr. would be a first-round pick because he wouldn't have had the opportunity to fall flat against Michigan.
Overexposed.
Right.
Yep.
Overexposed.
I think that had teams maybe double glancing at that situation.
Well, see, this is also why I hate the quarterback draft, though, too. Because that overexposure actually sets his market at a real place. And when you leave I guess the mystique of what you are capable of out of it, either opting out of the bowl game, choosing not to throw at the combine, and just throwing at your pro day, all these little, little decisions that they make leading up to the draft, they trick you. And then you think you got a franchise guy. And I'm not hating on Michael Penix Jr. It's just telling the truth of all quarterbacks that somehow creep their way up from the Mel Kipers or whoever it may be on this little press run that they have leading up to the draft. And that's where it becomes super problematic to me as to how you draft. Like, no, these guys are just all right. Like, to be your franchise resetter is not a real thing when it comes down to the quarterback. That's why it's so hard to find one these days, and that's why so much pressure on coaches who get fired who strike out on finding those guys, too. It is a very fine line on deciding who's good and who's not in the NFL. And sometimes you're just all right. But when you're picking that high of a pick for a position that is that important as far as quarterback, you get fired if you miss out on guys like that. And I'm not saying Bo Nix is not going to be somebody, because I know Babsy loves Bo Nix, okay? But Bo Nix to me he's just all right. It's just like the presser that way. He's just all right. Like, to be a top 15 pick is, I guess, beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
There's lots of guys, though, that have been, all that has been on them. They've got you're going to be the franchise quarterback. You're coming out of this school. You're going to be the guy. And they've failed. We've seen that time and time again. And you're right. There's guys that get some added pub this time of year. It's usually a quarterback that you'll see rise.
Always.
I mean, Will Levis kind of did the opposite. He dropped to the second round, but he still got picked up, and now he's a starter. We'll see how long that lasts, obviously,
he was third round.
Or third round. Yeah, you're right, Will. Yeah. Golly. So that was kind of shocking in terms of usually it goes the other way. But, yeah, it's so unpredictable, and I feel like it's gotten more unpredictable because now we're seeing, like I mentioned just a minute ago, we're seeing these guys have less time in terms of what they're able to show before they're shipped off.
Who has a better NFL career, J.J. McCarthy or Bo Nix?
Oh,
I want to go J.J. McCarthy.
I feel like he's one of those guys that's definitely getting a lot of love. But
Which one?
JJ, like he's definitely seen his draft stock rise, but I am going to put him as a little bit more of a favorite. I've liked his development. I've liked what I've seen out of him in Michigan, and that's a championship team he played on, and I'll give him the benefit of the doubt right now.
615-737-1045, our number. More from this mock draft when we come back, including who the number 2 tackle off the board is for Mel Kiper. Not a name that we are discussing quite as much as the alternatives. Next. Hey, what's going on? It's Will Bowling. If you are a business owner or facility manager, you have a lot on your plate and a lot to keep up with. That could include assessing your equipment and systems, evaluating indoor air quality, outlining new cleaning procedures, or even reviewing options for implementing touchless plumbing and electrical fixtures. That's a lot, but Lead Company can help you with it all. They have been in the facility management and maintenance business for decades. Put their professional expertise to work for you today. Whether it's HVAC, electrical, and plumbing, Lee Company does it all. So remember this phone number, 615-567-1000, or contact them online at leecompany.com. You've heard me talk about how Lee Company is all you need for your home, but they are also all you need for your facility. HVAC, plumbing, and electrical too, from healthcare facilities, everything in between, industrial, they're going to help you out. 615-567-1000, or contact them online at leecompany.com. That's Lee Company, all you need. Tuesday morning in RKW is brewed by 8th and Rose, Tramone, Kayla, and Will. 615-737-1045. It is very hot in the studio today.
You are?
What?
It's warm.
Man, I feel all right.
Very
tonight.
warm.
Perfect.
Stuffy. I don't like it.
Open the door. Oh, yeah, that's right. It weighs about 80 pounds.
I wouldn't make it any colder, I don't think.
No.
I've been congested, so I'm actually feeling like I'm breathing clear and actually feel all right right now.
Wish I could open this window.
That'd be awesome.
Let's go to Greg in Rhode Island. 615-737-1045. What's up, Greg?
Good morning, guys. I feel the excitement of the possibility of getting Marvin Harrison Jr., but when you're dying of thirst, my friend, you do not reach for the shot of tequila, no matter how special it is. You have Don Julio at home. You have a couple of top shelf tequilas there, and when you've been through what we've been through, Dennis Daly and then I can't take any more Skronsky at left tackle talk. I mean, we just got to get a guy here.
Neither can Ramon.
Thanks, Greg.
He's
Thank
with you.
Greg.
That's so refreshing.
Greg, now I'm back. Greg got me back on the other side now. You're right. Go ahead and get Joe Alt, man, when he's speaking the gospel like that. But Marvin Harrison Jr., I think if he's at anybody's pick, like I said, after 6, you're going to second talk. I mean, you're going to second guess it for sure.
That'd be great. That'd be
Definitely
like finding out he broke something and, it will never heal and he drops or something crazy like that. Could you imagine he
No.
dropping past the 4th?
Yeah,
Woo,
no.
but-
That'd be wild.
Crazier things have happened.
They have.
So the third tackle off the board is Olu Fashanu to the New Orleans Saints at Mel Kiper's mock draft. He has J.C. Latham, the tackle out of Alabama, as the second tackle off the board.
Okay.
How does he compare to Joe Alt, Ramon Foster?
Not as athletic. He's a bigger body as far as run grader. I think he's a people mover and a space eater more than anything. I think his specialty is going to be moving bodies as opposed to protecting. I look at him also as a right tackle, but I've also seen guys as of late, leave college and go over to the left side. They're playing on the right side because of necessity, and they already had a dude over there. I like J.C. Latham. Good hips, fluid, gets to the second level, good, but he's just not a pass protection blanket. He's just a smidge less athletic than Joe Alt is, I would think, just looking at their tape. He turns his hips a whole lot quicker than Joe Alt does when it comes down to protection, and in space can be somewhat problematic with him from time to time because of his size. Again, if he drops a few LBs and stuff like that, playing the right side is going to be easy as heck for him. But this is what this pre-draft stuff is all about, too, is seeing him move. His pro day, I'm sure, will be very interesting and enticing for a lot of GMs to go down. But if you're asking me why, the teams that may end up needing a dude like him are probably most teams that need right-sided tackles, too. I don't know if I'm moving JC over to left in year one.
That's what I was going to ask you too, because it's like he played a majority of that time over there. You said that he'd have to do some things to translate his game to the left side. For other teams, maybe that is what they're looking for. I just feel like, wouldn't that be, you're reaching a little bit in terms of if the Titans took him and expected him to be their left tackle today?
Left tackle, I don't think he's in the well, I say that. I don't think he's really in the conversation for the Titans as far as
I just
a
wanted to
draft
make
pick.
sure that was clear.
No. I think they're looking for a specific left guy.
Yep.
The two dudes that are specifically left are Fashanu and Joe Alt at this point. That's the unique thing about it is there will be some project guys like Tyler Guyton can move over potentially at some point, but he's going to need some time to learn how to play left tackle and stuff like that. Marius Mims is another one that I'm high on. He can play left, but it's going to take time.
Yep.
I think I feel the same way about J.C. Latham. If you want him on the left side, you're going to have some growing pains that have to go into it.
So in this exercise for Mel Kiper as well, he has the Washington guard Troy Fatanu going to Seattle before Tali Fuaga goes off the board, and has Tali Fuaga, the tackle from Oregon State, who some have as their number one tackle in the whole draft, going 18th as the Jonah Williams replacement in Cincinnati. Why are people so split on Fuaga?
Because he plays with a level of meanness that is something that you looking for an identity for an offensive line. He's an identity setter. He's intense as heck. We met him, smile, very charismatic, but he can't wait to tell you he is nasty and filthy and gonna do some work from you. What I don't love about him is his hip seems a little tight and his feet get a little heavy at times, but he moves well, and that's just only out of his stance. I think he had a good 40 time. I think he moved well at the combine and all those types of things. But his issues will be, I think he's a run-dominant tackle as opposed to a guy that's over, a really good protector. I like him. I do like him. And you would love him on your squad because he's going to fight to the end is how he is. So that's why, Will. You don't find that type of aggressiveness out of college with that type of athletic ability. You look at him in the run game, get into the second level and bodying guys, he is going to knock everything down in front of him, and that's what's so enticing.
I like that nasty dog trait, though.
And a lot of coaches do too. I'd rather say woe than sicker.
Yeah.
Is what they would tell you.
Chef Ran in the F&M Bank chat says Fatanu is a left tackle, 34-inch arms. Mel Kiper has Fatanu as a guard. And writes, Fatanu, my top-ranked guard, played mostly as the left tackle in college, starting 28 games, but he played 114 snaps at guard, too. And while he has the frame to be a tackle, Mel Kiper says, I see the potential for him to be an all-pro guard. The connection in Seattle would make sense with new Seahawks offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb, who was with Fatanu at Washington. So that would make a lot of sense.
And just be clear, you're talking about two different guys, Fatanu and Fuaga. Yeah,
Oregon State, Washington.
And Fashanu. Yeah.
Penn State.
Yeah.
615-737-1045. The Titans hosted a defensive tackle yesterday. We'll talk about it next.
Hey, this is the time of year to get out and enjoy life. It is the first day of spring officially tonight, so here's an extra little boost for you. Stop letting that pain in your joints keep you from doing what you want to do this spring. Call QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, and I'm talking about long-lasting joint pain relief, no surgery, no drugs, no downtime. In fact, QC Kinetics is literally transforming lives. Their advanced treatments actually harness your own body's ability to restore and repair that damaged tissue. Pro athletes, we know they've been doing it for decades, but now this life-changing treatment is available for you to try. So you can go play golf, run, play with your kids, go on a bike ride, whatever you want to do, have that movement pain-free. No pain pills, no risky surgery. It's an all-natural solution. Take action now and live your best life this spring and summer. And it's also a great use of your tax refund check. So you can call QC Kinetics today for a free consultation, 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024.
7 a.m. Good morning for the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Will Bowling. One Titans free agency target is off the board. Defensive end Chase Young plans to sign a one-year, fully guaranteed $13 million deal with the New Orleans Saints. The former number 2 overall pick was scheduled to take a visit here to Tennessee to meet with the Titans this week. The Titans did host one defensive lineman yesterday, though, in former Chargers defensive tackle Sebastian Joseph Day. Joseph Day was a 6th-round pick in 2018 by the LA Rams before signing a 3-year deal after his rookie contract expired with the Los Angeles Chargers and finishing last season with the 49ers. Tonight, the Nashville Predators are back at home hosting the San Jose Sharks after a 4-game road swing. The Predators have secured points in 14 straight games. Points tonight would tie a franchise record set by the President's Trophy winning team in 2017 to 2018. For your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. Seven a.m. on a Tuesday morning. Welcome in to hour number 2 of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW is brewed up by the best coffee in the Music City. 8th and Rose, cultivating community by the cup from any of their 4 locations. 8th Avenue, Charlotte, the Broadview at Vanderbilt, and the airport. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. Austin Price of VolQuest, an hour early this morning, joins us coming up in 15 minutes. He will be on the practice field for Tennessee spring practice at 8:20 our time. So you hear him at 7:20 our time coming up in a few minutes. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, and Reed Smith making the show happen. Streaming live on 104.5 The Zone TV. Let's go to the phones, shall we?
Yes.
To start hour number 2. Tim in Clarksville up first. What's up, Tim?
Good morning, guys. Great show. Hey, Ramon, I know one play doesn't make a lineman or a quarterback, but watch that last Michigan-Bama play. J.C. Latham got knocked silly right into Jalen Milroe's feet, and that's who tackled Milroe in the last play of the game. So I'm not a big fan of his because he didn't own that. So I know just one play, but they knocked him 5 feet towards the quarterback. I don't know what happened there. So that's my opinion.
Gotcha. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Tim.
I remember a caller about a few weeks ago called in and said, "Don't take J.C. Latham. That guy is a disaster. He's raw." Like, and you can't define a guy, like you said, by one play. But right. I have heard some things in terms of people haven't been the biggest fans, but clearly they're seeing something right.
Yeah.
Clearly, you've seen him, Senior Bowl. You've looked at a lot of his tape. I mean, he's going to be something.
Yeah, he's going to be something. And like you say, you can't judge it off one. But I think if you're asking him to be a left tackle, which is what this team needs, he's not for you. He's a right tackle, in my opinion, unless he changes his trajectory and, how he sets up and becomes a better pro than he was college player. That does happen. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But to me, he's a strong guy. He's very appealing to teams that want to run the ball, in my opinion. And he played at Alabama, so he's a high pedigree type of guy. Mm-hmm. All those things checks off for him. But to me, it boils down to him in space. When you're asking me about an NFL tackle, the first thing I want to know is how good of an athlete it is. I'm sorry to say it, but that's just how it is. You are cut off at the hips when it comes down to can you move or can you not move when it comes to NFL tackles. And if, again, the conversation with Peter, like there's differences when it comes down to judging what you want at tackle. And I would probably almost say I hadn't seen him in space primarily. I mean, not necessarily as far as Peter Skoronski goes, but him setting a DN in the NFL may be different than him in college. Mm-hmm. So that's the reason that I say for a guy like J.C. Latham, no matter if he had a bad play or not, at the last play of that game for Michigan. He's a right tackle, in my opinion.
I was too distracted because their center just kept on whiffing it. So I guess I was just distracted by what he was not doing.
He hit the portal right after that, too.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
He's
did.
now at Ohio State.
Yep. Good luck with that.
Braden in Shelbyville up next. What's up, Braden?
Good morning, guys. How y'all doing?
Great.
Good.
So, Ramon, I got a question for you, and I know it's situation pending, depending on the player, but I don't really know. So, with the first-round tackle or guard, how long should it take for them to develop into, somebody you can trust on the offensive line? And also, what should be the end result for his career for it to be considered a successful first-round pick? Appreciate it, guys.
Great question.
Those are good questions.
Usually, you guys know I've stuck by this 3 years. First year is to learn, figure out how to play the league. The next year is the adjustment. After all that tape that you've put out there, how can you be better as far as being consistent? And going into year 3, nothing should surprise you anymore, meaning you know how to study, you know how to play, you know the expectation, and you know your deficiencies. First 3 years of being a pro is where it's at. That's where we are right now on Lloyd Cushenberry.
Mm-hmm.
Year 4 for him was big. Moving forward, Peter Skoronski this year should have an adjustment to what happened last year also. That's why I was so big on Nicholas Petit-Frere last year.
And he didn't have
missed the 4 games because of suspension, and then he gets right in and end up tearing his pec or bicep or whatever it was.
Can you
right?
bounce back from something like that?
But he lost time. The thing is, he's chasing right now.
That's
so
what
it has to be a situation in which he really expedites his film study, his knowing his body, knowing what his deficiencies are. And the last part of that question was what defines successful first rounder guys. I would say double-digit years, but that also depends upon injuries and stuff like that. I say if you get 8 years as a first-rounder on the offensive line, you've won with your team. Taylor had, 7 or 8? Did he get double-digit? Taylor Lewan.
No,
I should have asked this earlier.
Double.
He didn't get double-digit?
No, I don't believe so.
Played 9 seasons.
9 seasons,
Close
and 2 of those were IR for the most part, really?
Yep.
So about 7.5.
Yep.
Taylor's right at the cusp of successful. And Taylor was successful.
I think he was.
3 Pro Bowls.
Because when he played, he was really good.
And a second contract. Taylor was successful. You love to just have Taylor. I'll be honest with you, for right now, too. I think he was athletic enough at a size where he can endure a little bit longer, but injuries finally got Taylor in the end. I'd say 8 years with one franchise is probably good. So that's 2 contracts, essentially.
Can I ask one more question on that? Speaking of Peter Skoronski, how much did even just missing a few games because of the appendectomy that he had maybe not disrupted completely his rookie campaign, but it did do something because he lost a lot of weight. Coming back, he wasn't the same right away. How much do you feel like that was a factor?
As far as
just maybe not as much down the stretch in terms of his play.
You didn't think he played well down the stretch?
No, I'm speaking of fans did not feel that he was great down the stretch, and we've had this debate on here, but there were people who weren't extremely fascinated with what he was doing in terms of the second part of his rookie season, but that all happened after he was
I thought he was a rookie.
Unhealthy.
Yeah, I thought he was just simply a rookie.
Yeah.
Those folks that are I hate that. Those folks that are judging him on saying he should have been a Pro Bowl or something like that is just plain idiotic to me if they are complaining about it. He had surgery during the middle of the season. My thing with Peter Skoronski was he made it out healthy in that year 1, despite the surgery also. I didn't judge it off of much more than what it was for Peter Skoronski. He finished the season out is where I was with it, and we saw him get better with the carousel of left tackle moving in and out too. That also affects play is who you playing to the left or right of. That's weird to me if that's the case.
Yeah, there's people that believe that out there.
That he had a sucky first year?
That he didn't maybe live up to expectations. I don't think it was
also
like
changed positions. Like there's a lot of factors that go into what he had going on, and he changed position.
Because that's I think why still people are thinking, well, move him to tackle. Try him a tackle. And it's like, well, he's got to have a little more time and a full season without having to deal with some emergency appendectomy.
Right.
The stats do bear that out, though, that he gave up sacks in 4 straight games from week 14 to week 17. And he came back from his appendectomy in week 5.
This is also, just like I said, the process of becoming an NFL lineman, too. I have no issue with it. If you look at almost everybody except for Joe Thomas, Joe Thomas probably. It's not many guys that have just completely excelled in year one the way they have. And there's a small sample size. I'm not saying it's not. But I don't look at Peter Skoronski as a Joe Thomas or Tyron Smith. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference in what we're asking him to do and also the quality of team that these guys are in the moment, too. When you're a first rounder, you're on the bad offensive line, you're probably going to be bad, too, until you get surrounded by better players. And that's the side of the NFL I think is super unique when it comes down to what makes a good career and what doesn't. Like, you look at Deshaun Watson in Houston. He looked like an all-star, right? Because they were playing from behind the most part of the time. And he looked really good when they had those teams that was playing in the AFC Championship, too. You are as good sometimes as your counterparts surrounding you. That's what's super unique about Peter. And I think moving forward in year two, we should see a big jump in his production and lack of sacks and stuff like that.
You also
I'm
got
not
Bill
pressed
Callahan.
about that. Yeah, I'm not pressed about it in year one.
To your point, Joe Thomas had 607 pass block snaps as a rookie and gave up 0 sacks.
Ain't many like him.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, he was different.
He was different.
Number 3 overall pick out of Wisconsin in 2007. We will get back to the Sebastian Joseph Day stuff later on in the show. We'll get to it at 8 since we didn't have time to hear because it's time to talk with Austin Price, VolQuest writer. We'll talk a little bit of hoops, talk a little bit of spring practice. Who is the one player not named Nico he is most interested to watch as spring practice opened up yesterday in Knoxville? We'll talk about that next. The glass is broken, and it's time to talk some Vols on a Tuesday morning edition of RKW. Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. Joined by VolQuest and On Threes, Austin Price, as we are every Tuesday morning here on the show. What's up, Austin?
Well, I really think you get shortchanged. I think at least one day a week they ought to put your name first.
You know what, Austin? That's a great idea. That's a great idea. You're the first person with not bowling in their last name to suggest that, I think.
I mean, maybe on Fridays when Brent Hubbs is on.
There you go.
There you go.
Hey, I have no problem with that. Hey, whatever we want to call it, just call me something, okay, Austin?
I was told that you worked it into your contract where your name had to be first.
I'm a lowly offensive lineman. When we get opportunities to get something, we take it, okay? So, yes, that was in my contract, okay, not to be removed.
Austin Price with us. Austin, have you made any more sense of the Mississippi State loss last week? And has your opinion of this Tennessee basketball team's March ceiling changed after last week's loss?
It hasn't. I mean, you look around college basketball, Will, and, I mean, some of the best teams in the country either didn't make the championship game in their conference tournament or no. I think, this is a basketball team that was kind of, for whatever reason, half in, half out in the conference tournament. Mississippi State played more hungry. They played more motivated. Sometimes I think, a team can be a bad matchup for a school, which is why I think it's all about matchups. And I think when you look at Tennessee's draw, I think it's a pretty favorable draw. I mean, if they can make it out of this weekend, they're going to be playing either South Carolina, Creighton, Akron, or one more school, a little top of my head, playing for the right to go to the Final Four. I mean, just don't – you couldn't have asked for a better draw, in my opinion, for Tennessee. And so, I like their draw. I think they'll bounce back, and I'd be surprised if the team we saw in Nashville is a team that we see – come Thursday night at 9:20.
Austin Price of VolQuest with us. Austin, do you get the sense that this team still can play with that same level of confidence and swagger it took on the road to Columbia and to Tuscaloosa? Because it just didn't look like they were in the same mindset here in Nashville for whatever reason.
I do. I really do. I mean, honestly, if you think back, a little over a week ago, they're playing Kentucky for a chance to go 4-0 in what was labeled this unbelievable gauntlet of a stretch. They lose by 4 at home to a top 15 Kentucky team that can score with anybody in the country. Nobody's going to bat an eye at losing to Kentucky. It's just a Mississippi State game that sticks out like such a sore thumb, right? Had Tennessee beat Mississippi State and then lose to Auburn on Saturday, is there the gnashing of teeth that we've seen since Friday afternoon? Probably not. It's just that game that kind of sticks in everybody's craw. But again, how many teams didn't make either to Saturday or didn't make the championship game or didn't win the championship game in their conference tournament as prohibitive favorites, as the 1 seed? It happened a lot. And so Houston didn't win. Purdue didn't win. North Carolina didn't win. I mean, you can keep going right down the line of these 1 seeds that did not make it, either to the championship game or did not win their conference tournament. So, I think it's just one game. You flush it, you get back up, and see what happens come Thursday night. At the end of the day, this comes down to making shots. I think this team's defense will travel. Dalton Connect will travel. My X factor player is Jordan Gaines. It does not seem like Zakai Ziegler is going to be affected by this. Jonas Adu will not be affected, I do not believe. Santi doesn't seem like he's got any confidence at all. So, he's hesitant to shoot. So that's why I make Gainey my X-Factor guy, because he's going to keep putting up shots when he's in the game regardless. He has no conscience, whether he makes 4 for 4 or 0 for 15. He's going to keep shooting. And I think that's the kind of mindset you've got to have come March. You can't be hesitant, which is why I think, a guy like Santi right now is, he's got to find other ways to be effective or it's really playing 4 on 5 at times.
Austin Price of VolQuest on 3 with us this morning. Austin, how sports isn't fair at all. The way people judge it, the way we look at it, what happens, how you win, lose, referees, all that type of stuff, right? But when it comes down to Rick Barnes and the perception of him from the Kentucky game, from the Mississippi State game, and just the history of his play or his coaching in the tournament, how much of this is unfair to judge him based off those games and how his teams play on the court? I heard Ron Slay, Mr. Worldwide now, say the other day that he was talking to Tubby Smith at the SEC tournament. And Tubby said, man, I got to call Coach Barnes because the way those guys play, he's going to run them into the dirt because he has an expectation. And sometimes your coaching and your message may not actually just get through to the guys on the court, but that's not necessarily anything towards you that's wrong. It might just be the players can't make their shots. How much of that is fair or unfair?
I mean, I think any criticism is fair. Now, when you look at the totality of everything, but I think if you're looking year to year, I'd probably unfair because there are different circumstances that a lot of times the common public doesn't know in every sport. I mean, Ramon, how many times did something going behind the scenes with the Steelers or when you were at Tennessee that the common fan had no clue about? And it affected how you played, how the team played, how it altered how games transpired. Like, sometimes the common fan doesn't know everything that's going on, and so thus they don't understand why you get from point A to point B. And so I think each year individually is different. I think the totality of it, though, I think, it can be judged, however it needs to be judged. But I think each year it can change depending on the circumstance.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. I just had to ask that because it will be fascinating. And I heard Ron says, he can't put the ball in the hoop for him, but that's neither here nor there. When it comes down to what else is going on up at Rocky Top, these morning practices have just kicked off with spring ball. What are you looking forward to as far as them getting better this offseason? I've seen some clips, of course, of guys and transfers coming in. Seem like Boo Carter is doing his thing, which his name cannot stay out of the headlines in a good way.
100%. I mean, again, he just carries himself in such a way, and Boo is fantastic. He's going to speak with the media later this morning after practice. We'll actually get to see 9 periods this morning. Most will see all spring. They don't have the pads on, but, we'll still get to see them run around. It's hard to get a real judge on linemen, but, you can definitely get a feel on the skill guys. And Tennessee, I think, does have a different set of skill players that they had a year ago. At wide receiver, they're deeper, they're more athletic, they're faster. In the secondary, you had a lot of change. The additions of people like Caleb Beasley and Boo Carter, and then the addition of guys like Jacoby Thomas, transfer from MTSU, and Jermon McCoy, the DB from Oregon State. So, I love the morning practices. It kind of gets the day off to a hot start after I get my kids off to school, and it will be interesting to kind of just see some of those guys get out there and run around for more than just a couple periods that we normally get to see.
Austin Price of VolQuest joining us this morning on RKW. So we saw, some of these newcomers, 22 newcomers. You saw a little of them during the bowl practices, but this is a little bit different with spring practice. How are they able to get acquainted, and how is this process for some of those new guys?
Well, I think it's an addition to what they saw in bowl practice for those guys that either watched or got to participate. For players like Caleb Beasley and Edwin Spillman, who arrived this weekend and are going through practice and team activities for the first time, it's still a good jump start on fall practice. So, this spring is big for all these newcomers. You got 14 early enrollees, 8 transfers, so 22 new guys. You got players like Tyree Weathersby, who got hurt early in fall camp last year, and so hasn't, done a ton with the team. Now all of a sudden he's back ready to go. Keenan Peely's out there doing his thing. Tennessee is working on the helmet communication, so they've got some of the players like Peely with the with the speakers in the ears, and they're able to communicate with them, which is the new rule that's in college football. So a lot going on, but a lot of newcomers, a lot of new faces, and this spring's big for all those guys to kind of hit the ground running.
How basic too, and I've talked with, guys in the past at the college level and bigger programs, and I remember hearing, a lot of the guys saying, hey, some guys come in here, they're not as in shape, but they get to that point. Is that a lot of what spring practice is, just getting in the weight room, making sure you're getting to weight and you're ready to go once the season is there?
Yeah, and for the guys on offense, it's learning the pace of the offense. I mean, you heard last year McAllen Castles talk about after the bowl game having a talk with, Tennessee's newest tight end, Holden Stays, the transfer from Notre Dame, and explained to him that it took him a full spring practice to understand the pacing because they go at such a pace. And so for a guy like Lance Hurd, this will be different. This pace will be different. So, I would bet his body looks vastly different come August 1 than it is going to be April 1. And that will be because of spring practice, understanding the pacing, and then the summer workouts. And, that happened last year with John Campbell. I thought John Campbell transformed his body tremendously between spring practice and fall camp. And so, a lot of these guys, I think, will be able to take advantage of understanding kind of how Tennessee practices, the pace they practice at, the pace they play at, and it will be a benefit over the next few months.
Austin, who is the one player other than Nico Iamaleava you are most interested to watch during spring practice?
Oh, I have to name more than one, Will.
Okay, that's allowed.
There's so many newcomers. I mean, I'm interested to see Jermod McCoy, Lance Hurd, and Chris Brass. Those are kind of my three. I'm interested to kind of see what they bring to the table because I think the addition of all three could really alter Tennessee's team success this fall. So, I really like McCoy a lot. I think he carries himself with a certain swagger, similar to Boo in a lot of ways. He's got, more experience than Boo, having, been a transfer from Oregon State. Two different positions, but I think that, similar in a lot of ways. Hurd obviously plays the position of most need at left tackle. And then Brazel is that, kind of big, lanky, could potentially be a game-changing receiver from Tulane. So I think all three have a chance to really impact Tennessee's success.
Oh.
Austin, I think we lost you there for a moment. You still got us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, there we go. Sorry. Yeah, I cut out there for a minute. I was going to ask you about Nico, though, as well. Are you hearing that he is stepping more into that leadership role this spring? What are people saying around campus about Tennessee's new QB1?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's, impressed with his leadership. He's always been a guy that kind of leads by example. I think he's gotten more vocal, and I think that pays the dividends as spring practice goes along.
As far as those second-year guys and guys that got to come up and make plays and make splash, man, what do we expect for a guy like Arian Carter, who has a lot of that P-word potential, it seems like, moving forward?
He's got to get fully healthy. I think, you want to see him continue to grasp, and see the game slow down. I mean, Ron, how much did the game slow down for you, junior year, sophomore year, senior year? I mean, so for my liking, I think you want to see the game slow down.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other side I have to ask you is, will we close out on a 5-star tackle? Because it seems to me David Sanders in this recruiting cycle has somewhat fallen in love with Nico and George and all things Tennessee. And there's some of the latest things I've seen written about him. Is that real, or is it smoke screens when it comes down to the recruitment of a guy like him who will be a freshman and you ain't got to go into the portal to get somebody again?
Yeah, I think Tennessee's able to land one of these guys, whether it's Sanders, Utu, Jalen Matthews, Josh Petty, Juan Gaston. Tennessee's got several options at offensive tackle that are highly ranked guys, that are top 50 guys. Some of them top 10 players. Some of them potentially could be top 5 players. But Tennessee's in the mix with several offensive tackles in this cycle. Would be surprised if they don't land at least one and potentially two.
Austin, this was a question that was asked to Josh Heupel this week. I thought it was interesting, just talking about, if Tennessee's transfers can ease their way into kind of that transition period, or if they need to have a little bit of urgency. And with so many transfers nowadays, and you're getting to a new program, and like you said, you're learning new things, whether it be on offense and defense. Is there any type of extra time that you see now given by coaches, or is it just as urgent?
I think you have to have urgency.
Yeah.
There's got to be a drive. You can't kind of sit back. I mean, if Billy Amick didn't have urgency when he got here for Tennessee's baseball team, would he be having the success that he's having right now? A lot of these guys could be put in positions like Lance Hurd, your left tackle, right? I mean, it's not like he's having to set as the third team guy and work his way up. He's your number one. But I think he has to have urgency to pick up the offense, understand the pacing, and go from there. Same thing with a guy like Chris Brazzell, understanding the offense, understanding what is asked of him at the receiver position, I think is so critical. Maybe not every one of the transfers is as important. Tennessee's really deep in defensive line, so can Jackson Moy potentially not have as much urgency and it'd be okay? Sure. Now, you still want him to have that major urgency. But there are a few of them where they can't have kind of any kind of hiccup or trip. Like they need those guys to be really good and be players that can help Tennessee this fall. And, we've outlined several of them this morning.
He is Austin Price, joining us every Tuesday here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will at Austin Priceless, where you find him on Twitter. And Austin, we'll see next week if it's Will, Ramon, and Kayla. Who's to say? Thank you for joining us.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Austin.
All right, there's Austin Price with us this morning as he heads to the practice field. A lot was made about Lance Hurd in one phone picture of him that makes him look maybe a little bit bigger than what people had hoped. Ramon Foster, how many of your friends and teammates and people who have been on this show would perhaps have the nerve, the audacity to show up to spring practice not in total 100% shape?
It happens all the time.
Yes, it does.
It happens in the NFL, too.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen guys get in shape in camp. Like, legitimately. It would be the vets, though, too, who also have a whole lot of security.
Is it easier that way because you have guys around you that are, like, already looking good and you've got the exact food you're going to eat and all of that?
Not necessarily, because there's two types of shapes. It's football shape that you can play, play to play, but it's also the longevity of how long you can play those plays too. Mm-hmm. You want to be able to have your, Bert was talking about it yesterday, your VO2 max and your all that up high, because it's a matter of, all right, we may be able to do 5 plays in a row, but when we go no huddle, he gonna be dead to the earth.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? That's a matter of wearing down.
From my experience on a much, much, much smaller scale as a college athlete, there were certain guys who could show up, quote unquote, out of shape and it wouldn't matter. In any sport, there were guys that could show up, walk off the couch with no summer training. They've not done anything. They've been on the beach with a drink in their hand. Mm-hmm. But they were talented enough to immediately, you could tell they were not in shape, but it didn't matter. And then there were those of us that had to grind for every single day of summer, of off-season training, of everything, and we would still be behind those guys because we weren't as naturally talented. Like if I slacked off for a week, I was either going to hurt myself, which I did, or I was going to be lagging behind in practice, which I also did because I wasn't very good at this. And it was always frustrating. Like the guys that could go out the night before, show up, half asleep and half drunk and still outwork you every day at practice because they were just naturally that guy.
Differences.
And that's the thing is that there are so many people at any level, especially in college, I feel like, that can just show up and just be that dude without putting in as much of the work.
To your point to the kids, there's a level of getting by, Kayla, that simply just does that.
Everyone learns their...
You just get by.
I had friends like that. Believe me.
Yeah.
I'm like, how are you that talented and you don't even have to try?
But the way we broke camp every year after mini camp was coach would put up on the big board, physical conditioning precedes anything else. Yeah. Meaning if you get tired, we lose. So don't get tired. So, yeah, you can get by. but I promise you, there is a fine line on when it crashes.
615-737-1045, our number. We'll give you a little preview of the hoops tonight as the NCAA Tournament officially begins. We'll get to Alvin first on the phones when we come back as well on RKW.
Fellas, if you've been feeling tired and grumpy and have noticed a lack of motivation and drive, you may have low T, okay? Low testosterone levels can cause weight gain, loss of muscle mass, and so much more. But I recommend Low T Center. That's where I get my levels tested, and they make it quick and easy to get your levels checked also. And it's only $25. And with their on-site lab, you get your results back in about 25 minutes. And most insurance is accepted for the treatment also. So go to lowtcenter.com now to book your appointment online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
RKW, Ramon, Kayla, and Will is brewed by 8th and Rose, 615-737-1045, the number. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling with Reed Smith spinning the hits. Take a look at a team in 15 minutes that is looking to set a little bit of history in Music City tonight. Nashville Predators back in action. We'll tell you what you need to know. Get a little hockey update. It's coming up here at 8 o'clock.
Let's do it, Will.
Let's go to Alvin in Nashville, 615-737-1045. What's up, Alvin?
What up, Alvin?
How y'all doing?
Good. There we go.
Hey, tooting it up this morning.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I got two things. One for Ramon, one for the whole group. My first question is, what makes Caleb Williams the proven quarterback? He hasn't even played it down in the NFL yet. The reason why I'm asking is because the quarterback that come from the Lincoln Riley system, I have not seen do anything in the NFL. And the reason why I ask that is because they talking to this man as Andrew Luck when he came out of college. And my second question was to Ramon. Have you checked out Cooper Beebe's tape yet, Ramon?
Mm-hmm. I like Cooper Beebe, man. Big body guy, can move well, aggressive as heck, use his hands. Yes, all those things is what you want.
Man, if we can get us another pick, man, on the right side, we can just run everything strong left. I hang up and listen.
Thank you, Alvin.
Appreciate that, Alvin. I love how everybody's in tune to the O-line, building from the inside out, baby, or back to front. I've heard Buck and Lucas talking about that yesterday, building back to front also.
I'll start with Caleb.
Oh, yeah.
Look, when you look at him compared to any of the quarterbacks in this year's draft, I think it's, he is the easy number one just because of the traits he has. His ability to make, throws all around the field. I just feel like he's athletic. There's all the traits that you want in a quarterback, at least at the college level, that becomes very intriguing because you see the way he's able to run that offense when really, remember, too, USC, when he was there, had a crap defense. So a lot of the time you're putting a lot on that offense to do what they did. And he had a lot of success there. And he was very fun to watch. And there's nothing to take away from that game in college. I've always stood on this hill with Caleb Williams, and I'm going to continue to stand on it. And I know not everybody agrees with me. The problem I have with Caleb Williams and all the hype that comes along with Caleb Williams is, can you sustain that? Can you transfer that to the next level? And especially when you have so much on your shoulders. People are expecting him to be the savior in Chicago. They just traded away Justin Fields for a 6th-round pick. Justin Fields was a 1st-round pick. People expected him to be a guy, but more so I think they expect Caleb Williams to be that guy. He has shown in the past at USC that pressure gets to him. We've seen it several times. He's not been able to handle it very well. And I think that didn't affect his play at that level, but it can affect your play at the next level when you are the dude and you're now, expected to be the guy that really is saving this franchise, and it's not going to happen in year one. So I think the biggest thing I fear with Caleb Williams is he going to be able to handle all that pressure and translate his game along with that, because he's going to a franchise that is crap right now. So that is why I'm a little bit skeptical on Caleb Williams. And I will add this too, and I know every case is different. USC has had some failed quarterbacks more so recently than they have had ones that thrive in the league.
Ramon, what do you see in Caleb Williams?
My standpoint is this. He makes every pass that you want him to, can stay in the pocket. He's mobile, can be creative. I get the personality traits that he has. This deficiency's there. But to your same point that you made, and you made this point, he's persevered through it all. He has. Again, the crying on his mom's shoulder. I know everybody show that type of stuff and how he put the stuff on his fingernail. Okay, but can he play ball? The answer is yes. Some of the people I've talked to in those circles have said this kid has been touted to be this good since he was like an 8th grader, and he's delivered on everything you've asked him to do. That, to me, is what we got to look at for a guy like him. If emotions aside, just raw talent, he's got every single thing that you want. Mobility, arm, vision, anticipation of the pass. It's him, and in my opinion, Jaden Daniels, and everybody else is how I look at this class. Have I stood on that table for a while?
You were first on that train before I saw anyone else say it, that Jaden Daniels was your QB2.
Yeah, and kudos to Bass for dropping that one too early in the year. Made me open my eyes up to it more. But Caleb, to me, and the other side though too is look at what Chicago's done so far. They are surrounding them with a ton of weapons and a ton of draft capital. You are as good as your surrounding cast. And considering they got somewhat of a line right now, he may jump out high. Chicago might actually compete for the NFC North this year with the players that they're putting around him.
To me, so many of the issues Caleb Williams had at USC were because his defense couldn't stop a nosebleed and probably couldn't stop De La Salle down the road in California. I mean, in the Pac-12 championship game that they famously lost to Utah, he had 363 yards and 3 touchdowns with a bad hamstring. Goodness, I'm getting choked up talking about it. With a bad hamstring. I think he's that guy. I think he's an absolute stud. And I think we obsess over him, to Alvin's question, because he has a similar skill set to Patrick Mahomes. And that is the exact reason why people are touting him to be that can't miss Andrew Luck kind of prospect, is because he can do what Mahomes does. Basketball tonight, first 4 getting started. Howard and Wagner. Who you got? I know we're experts on Howard and Wagner basketball.
Howard's been cooking, man. I hadn't seen much of Wagner, though. I'm taking Howard.
Second straight year Howard's in the tournament. First since 2003 for Wagner, if you're scoring at home. What is Wagner's mascot?
Wagner?
The doggy Wagners.
I have no. Wagner, Wolves.
The Seahawks.
Oh, that's stupid.
The Wagner Seahawks. That one at 5:40, and then Virginia, Colorado State.
I'm excited for this.
An eye bleed of a basketball game. That is going to be a snoozer.
I just want to see what this Tony Bennett team, because they've been in the tournament 8 of the last 9 years, but their last real deep run was 2019 when they won it all. If they don't make the tournament, I feel like they've kind of gone downhill. And they do play such a defensive-minded game. I like Colorado State in this one. The Mountain West put 6 teams, by the way, in the tournament, which is pretty impressive. That was a good conference this year.
615-737-1045. Coming up, the Titans hosted a D tackle, and the Preds are going to host the Sharks with a chance to make some history tonight. We'll recap that next.
It's Ramon Foster for Genesis Diamonds, and one things that really make Genesis Diamonds stand out from other jewelry stores is the education you get. These are not just clerks behind the counter. These are seasoned pros. They know everything there is to know about diamonds, okay? And they will take their time to teach you in a way that is transparent, informative, useful. They'll even teach you how to buy like a dealer buys, okay? They will show you the inside secrets of the diamond industry. They will show you how diamonds are priced and graded out on the world market and how you can maximize your budget, which is what we're all trying to do these days. They'll also teach you about lab-grown diamonds and how you need to be very, very careful with where and how you buy these. All this is done in a relaxed, no pressure, no expectation kind of atmosphere. They know most guys don't know much about diamonds, so they're committed to teaching you, not selling you. Then, when you're ready, Genesis will give you access to one of the largest selection of GIA-certified diamonds in America. Yes, I said the largest, and nobody has the kind of selection that they have. They will let you see 10, 15, even 20 diamonds in your price range side by side so you can make an intelligent decision. I'm telling you, if you're diamond shopping, this is the place to go to. It's a no-brainer. The education you want, the selection you need, the price you deserve with zero risk and zero pressure. Genesis Diamond voted the best jewelry store and the best place to buy an engagement ring 10 years in a row. They're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
8:01 from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Will Bowling. The Titans hosted a defensive lineman target yesterday in former Chargers tackle Sebastian Joseph Day. Joseph Day was a sixth-round pick in 2018 by the Los Angeles Rams. After his rookie deal expired in L.A., he signed with L.A.'s other team, a 3-year deal with the Chargers after finishing last season with the San Francisco 49ers. One Titans free agency target is off the board. That's defensive end Chase Young. He plans to sign a 1-year, fully guaranteed $13 million deal with the New Orleans Saints. The former number 2 overall pick was scheduled to take a visit to Tennessee this week. Tonight, the NCAA Tournament begins with the first 4 in Dayton. Howard takes on Wagner at 5:40 on True TV. Then Virginia takes on Colorado State at 8:10. The winner of that one will face Texas, who is the 7 seed paired with Tennessee in the Midwest region. And the Nashville Predators are back at home in Bridgestone Arena tonight, hosting the San Jose Sharks after a 4-game road swing that saw them go 3-0-1. The Predators have secured points in 14 straight games. A win tonight would tie a franchise record set by the President's Trophy winning team in 2017 to 2018, and an overtime loss would do the same. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. Second half of the show, and hour number 3 starts right now on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW, as always, is brewed by 8th and Roast, locally owned and operated by lifelong friends turned business partners who design the local shops as a way to feel welcomed, connected, and part of a community. Stop by and see him at the Broadview at Vanderbilt, 8th Avenue, Charlotte, or at the airport the next time you travel. 615-737-1045. How you jump into the discussion. Streaming live on 1045 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch.
Twitch, please.
That's where you can watch Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Reed Smith making the show happen. I'm Will Bowling. You have considerably less competition today.
I do, man. I looked at Reed like, step your game up, man. He ain't
Does he know about that?
He don't have to know, Kayla. Everything's is a competition.
He's got to learn? Okay.
Reed don't even realize he lost.
See, he's ready now.
It's like, that's how it works in this world. He told you he was
I
ready.
thought about it, but I let him have this one.
Okay.
We let him
I'm
have
with
this
you, Reed.
one.
We don't
I got
pay
your
you
back,
to think, Reed, okay? We pay you to do, okay? Thinking makes us lose, and you lost.
My cousin's name's Reed, so I'm with you.
Nah.
with you back there.
Well, he going to read his way up out this script is what's going to happen next, okay?
Just wait.
See, you got me
I love
started
it.
now.
He's
Now
just
I'm
like,
ready to
just
talk
wait.
trash.
We also got Reed started on watching The Sopranos.
He already
And
finished
you
it.
finished it faster than I did, I think.
That's what she
Record breaking.
I-
goodness.
Pause.
We're back to.
I'm not sure.
Wasn't that the Schaefer days?
Because you finished it pretty fast.
I did, yeah.
said. Wait a
I
minute.
went
Pause.
through it pretty quick.
Pause.
Thank you. Okay.
Without giving away too much on the finale, though, you did like it, right?
Hated it and loved it.
Okay.
Probably the greatest series ending ever
Yeah,
out
that's
of
true.
any show.
That's a good point.
Okay.
You know ball.
Makes you think.
What?
Makes you
So
imagine.
we were talking. What's next up?
Succession, maybe, or I thought about Game of Thrones, but that's
Oh, I love
that's
Game of Thrones.
That takes a lot of time.
That is a big commitment.
And it takes a minute to get into that one, so you've got to have your mindset right.
Have you never watched Game of Thrones?
Never watched it. Apparently,
my gosh.
season 9 is just awful.
It is terrible.
So I
Yeah.
don't know
It
if
is.
I don't want to have knowing the disappointment that is in front of me. I don't know if I
But
want to
there's
start
some really good seasons, and there's some really good episodes. The Red Wedding.
Yeah.
It is really good. I would say everyone needs to watch The Gentleman on Netflix, first
I'm on
of
it.
all.
I was about to start it this weekend.
It's only 8 episodes. Giancarlo Esposito, who is Gus Fring in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul,
Yep.
is one of the main characters. Theo James, who is in season 2 of White Lotus, is also a big-time character. He's also not bad to look at if you are a female looking for a good show to watch. So it's like British Ozark is the best way that I could describe it. And once you watch it, you'll understand how similar those two things are. I do think it will be one that gets renewed as well. So we'll see.
Okay.
It's not one that's just a limited series, because sometimes I'm less inclined to watch a limited series that's just 6 episodes and done, because I want a commitment. I want a couple of years of this thing.
Yeah.
And I do think there will be more of this. So
Derek D says, check out Boardwalk Empire. That's what you had mentioned to us in the break.
Yeah, Boardwalk Empire is a can't miss. So it's HBO, and just leave it at that. It's HBO. It's Game of Thrones.
Don't have your kids in there.
And how the production of it is, but great storyline. I think mostly true events out of New York and Prohibition and stuff like that. Super unique, man. A lot of twists and turns in it. I like Boardwalk Empire.
Gator Mike writes in and says, have him do Mindhunter. It's only 2 seasons. Mindhunter is great.
And they're kind of like crazy twists and stuff.
There was a tweet last week that our friend Mike Golick Jr. put out of which is the best show that should have been renewed after it was canceled, and Mindhunter was like far and away the most popular answer because it should have been renewed after 2 seasons. Anyway.
That's going to be super... There's some great shows out there. I've yet to see White Lotus. I hadn't checked out Ozark. Saved on my list.
You haven't seen Ozark?
Have not.
Oh, yeah, that's good. You'll like that.
I hadn't seen that one too. Dexter.
Oh,
Dexter's
another one
great
until the last season.
Is it?
Until the last season.
Yeah, I'm going to still watch. I got to. Because a lot of people were saying Succession was going to be, not Succession, Suits was like that too.
Did you finish it?
I did. Loved it.
Yep.
I'd watch Suits again.
Suits was the fastest show that I've watched, and there's like 9 seasons, and I finished it in probably 3 months, which is a lot.
It's easy to binge.
Yeah, easy to binge. And for a USA show?
Yeah,
network show? Yeah, definitely.
I did all 8 seasons of Game of Thrones at the time, January to March of my senior year of college, because the last season came out April of 2019, which was my senior year of college. So I felt so left out that everyone was so excited about the new season, and I was only taking 9 hours of class my last semester, and only 3 of them were in an actual classroom. No, 4 of them were in an actual classroom because that's all I needed to graduate. So I would just sit in my house all day, and I didn't have class until like 2 p.m., and I would just watch Game of Thrones all day. And guys who would come in the house to like eat lunch be like, what episode are you on? Can I come watch it with you? It was fun.
By the way, I know you're going to transition to sports right here.
I am.
This is what I'm doing real quick, too, before I beat you to the punch. I know you will. With that being said.
He's like ready.
I'm going through and looking at Caleb Williams stuff again because I'm just like, I got to see it. Every pass, the quick trigger of just release is there. His ability to zip, his ability to touch, his ability to improvise and sell the plays is every single trait is there.
We'll see.
Every single trait is there. His size, what is he, 6'1"-ish?
Yeah.
But he gets deep enough in the pocket to where he sees it. He's going to have a side-to-side offense. He's got the weapons in Chicago, it seems like now, to be able to do that type of stuff. The real question is going to fall upon what does this coordinator want to call?
6'1", 214, the official measurement.
6'1", 214. Hey, man. If you can unbiasedly watch the tape, and which is what I'm trying to do right now, because again, they're losing to Oregon 36-21, so of course he's going to have it. But as it stands with him standing in a pocket under pressure, he does that, not rolling out unless he has to. Raw prospect analysis of him, he got it.
Oh yeah.
615-737-1045. We're going to get into a big discussion coming up in 10 minutes. What is the biggest hole left on the Titans roster? What worries you the most? 1 week through free agency, the Titans did host Sebastian Joseph Day on a visit yesterday. 28-year-old former 6th-round pick of the LA Rams back in 2018. Finished out the final year of his rookie deal before signing a 3-year, $24 million deal with the Chargers. LA then opted to waive him last December. He signed on in San Fran and finished out the season there. We'll have the discussion coming up on whether or not defensive tackle, edge rusher, linebacker, corner, any of those positions, or even still left tackle, are the ones that concern you the most right now for the Titans. But tonight, the Nashville Predators back in the Stone. And they've got a 14-game point streak, Kayla.
Man, they are rolling. And I said this briefly yesterday, but just the emphasis on the road trip and taking 3 out of 4 games was really big for the continued momentum with this team. They've got about 15 games left in the regular season, and they have the wild card spot right now in the West. So it's really important to keep that up there. They've got Vegas right behind them with that 2 wild card spot. Yeah. But I think this team has what it takes to maybe surprise some people too if they get into the playoffs. They're just playing really good right now. That top line has been so solid with the addition of Ryan O'Reilly. That's been, we've talked about Philip Forsberg has just been on a tear. And Philip Forsberg in the past, he's always been the guy that we talk about is so talented, but it was the consistency of Philip throughout a season. Like we've seen it this year with Philip just being so consistent at what he does as a playmaker. So I think right now you look at this team, they've beat some good teams in the Central as of late, which the Central is good. They've got some good teams. They've got to just continue to keep this up. Will mentioned the 14-point streak right now that they've got. That's special. It's not a win every time, but they're still forcing overtime to get points, which is huge. And guess what? The San Jose Sharks are not the San Jose Sharks of old, guys. It's not the Brent Burns. They have already been eliminated from the playoffs. So this is a team that's struggling. You cannot, at home, when you're back, fall to this San Jose team tonight.
Gotcha.
14 games left for the Preds. 8 of them are against teams not currently in the playoff picture. As Alex Doherty of the Tennessean writes this morning, with a goal and assist against Seattle, Philip Forsberg had his 22nd multi-point game of the season. That is tied now with his career high. Ooh. And he's got 14 games left. He's also just been healthy the whole year, which has been huge. For him. 615-737-1045, the number. Which position still worries you the most? Yes, it's an incomplete exercise with lots of time left to build the roster, but where is the biggest hole left on the Titans roster? Our thoughts next.
Hey, it's Kayla Anderson. This time of the year, maybe we're feeling a little down. You need a little boost. Members Nutrition is the way to get that. We all might be wondering, what's in our body? And because we're slowing down, especially the last couple of months, you're feeling maybe bloated. Toxins are building up in your body, suppressing your immunity and ability to absorb nutrients and fight illnesses. So that excess waste can also cause you to prematurely age, carry around some extra weight, which none of us want. And that is why you need to essentially change your body's oil once in a while. And why not try the Youthful Cleanse by Daily Defense? It's a way to give you a little bit of a reboot. And it's simple. No need to change your diet. No need to do any of the juicing things that you see in terms of cleanses. You can do this for 2 days. You can do this up to 15 days. So get yours today at membersnutrition.com, plus plenty of other great supplements. I use the probiotic to control gut health. So why not control your life and try the Youthful Cleanse today at membersnutrition.com.
RKW is brewed by 8th the Roast on 104.5 The Zone. Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. Reed Smith is just playing my Apple Music playlist this morning.
I love this song.
I'm here for it. Today is Friday, March the 19th. No, this is the part of my theme song. That's why I say that.
Down to
What position worries you the most on the Tennessee Titans roster right now? Worry is a big word. I feel like I am accentuating the worst in this fan base and every other that is stressing about a roster on March the 19th that is so far from incomplete, it's not even funny. But as free agents fly off the board and as defensive linemen sign elsewhere, where do you look at this roster and worry the most?
Where I worry the most is D-line. That's where I'm at. And I go specifically D-tackle, your interior guys. I think a lot is up against Rashad Weaver this year. I'll say that. He got to show and prove. He can't be a healthy scratch. What is this, going into year 4 right now? He's got to step up. So I'm not even going to mention the outside guys. I let Arden, I let Harold, I let those guys take care of that on their own. But for me, it's really replenishing what the D-line is capable of doing. Last year, middle of the road as far as stopping the run and run average and everything. It was not an issue. My issue is this. Let's keep it that way. That's and the reason it becomes somewhat problematic is that my worry is the double teams that Big Jeff gets all the time. If you can go into a game and start minimizing guys like Jeff because of double teams, because, hey, we're not going to run his way, because, hey, we'll expose him when Jeff has to go out because the level of play isn't where you need it to be, that's where it becomes problematic to me. And you also lost Danico Autry to Houston this offseason cycle too. So for me, it is getting – or either – this is the other side – having these guys prove that they can be that good. Like Marlon Davis was signed late last year. Quentin Bohannon is a big body guy out of Memphis from the state that came in late, and it seemed like truthfully just wasn't ready to play the amount of reps that he was playing. I think he was injured 2 of the 4 games he was in or something like that. The quality of those guys. And I ain't no disrespect in saying that. Either they raise their play up or go find more quality guys. That's where I'm at when it comes down to my concern for this squad. I think the rest of it can be covered up, but to be in a position to where your front line is being moved around because Jeff is getting double teamed and other guys can't win their one-on-ones or win those matchups when Jeff is the focus point of all things on that defensive front line, especially on the interior. So it's D-line for me.
Yeah, and that's fair. And they lost Tier Tart too, this last year. And
still not signed, is he?
No, I don't think so.
Correct.
Which makes me think I don't know what happened with that situation, but that's besides the point. So I agree with you. I think that there needs to be some shoring up of the line for sure. And we've seen a productive line the past couple of years. When it comes to the Tennessee Titans. What we haven't seen as much productivity in is the back end. And what puts me a little more at ease, while I do think they're needing to add more back there, is Denard Wilson is taking over as defensive coordinator. I think he understands the importance of the back end of this defense and being able to make plays, which, might I remind you, this Tennessee unit did not do last year a lot of. What they did do, allowing a lot of explosive plays. And that has been a problem for the last couple of years with this Titans defense that last year, 18th in passing yards allowed per game, tied for 8th fewest passing touchdowns surrendered, but Tennessee's unit surrendered the 6th highest passer rating and tallied the fewest interceptions in the NFL, which we continue to talk about throughout the season, just not the productivity that you would have liked to have seen. Then when I look at the depth chart here, yes, you added Chidobe Awuzie. I get that. And look, he has a lot to prove too, because he is coming off of a season where you didn't see as much productivity because he was coming off of that ACL injury. Behind that, you've got Roger McCreary. And we've seen such great stuff from Roger. He has been a pro's pro, solid as they get. Amani Hooker, in terms of safety behind him, Elijah Molden. Like, they still need to build some sort of depth, and I feel like add some sort of a veteran in this spot. Could they draft a safety? Yes. I just don't think there's great ones in this draft, and there's a lot of other needs that you're going to have to try to fill in the draft. And then, you got Eric Garrer and Trey Avery. I'm sorry, that doesn't do it for me in terms of if you're trying to get better on the back end. It worries me right now with not adding at least another safety at this spot in free agency, and they can still do all of this. But this is the spot I'm worried about. I stood on this hill, and I'll die on this hill until they fix it.
So Marcus May, Saints safety, is the safety that is scheduled to have a Titans visit at some point this week. And Marcus May, the guy that spent time with Denard Wilson in New York as a Jet, could fix a lot of those problems and play next to Amani Hooker at that position. Would L'Jarius Sneed be enough to ease your concerns about corner?
Yes, it would, because he's that good. And he's played on a championship team, and he's a damn smart player, too.
So what is the most likely conclusion with Sneed? What happens? Is he traded before the draft? Is he traded after the draft? Or does he play on the tag? What do you feel like is most likely at this point?
If the coach is serious, then they going to get him. That seems to be the case.
So there are conflicting reports on that, where Diana Rossini said on the Athletic Football Show podcast yesterday, in fact, said, I had my tweet up ready to go because I really thought it was going to get done last week. The Titans and Colts were really close on getting deals done. This was before the Calvin Ridley move was made by Tennessee. Diana Rossini says, I don't think all trade talks are dead involving Sneed now. Do I believe that it's going to be Tennessee? I think the chances are obviously smaller now. Being able to pay Sneed on a new contract because he does want a new deal, and that appears to be the holdup of trying to iron that out, Diana says of the Titans' pursuit. Robert Mays then pressed her more, asked for a follow-up, and she replied, I do think when it comes down to it, the Colts are probably the front runner, but Diana Rossini says, I do know the Titans were really close to getting that trade done. Then there's Stephen Holder, Colts and NFL reporter for ESPN, who tweets out a thread and says, here's what happened. The Colts were talking to Danielle Hunter, contemplating a Sneed trade early last week. When neither materialized, they moved on with their original plan, re-signing their own players, saying it was always unlikely they would do both, acquire Hunter or Sneed, and be able to re-sign everyone. Further evidence, there is a reason Michael Pittman Jr. was re-signed last Monday. He was going to be there regardless. When it came to the remaining re-signings, they were going to take them case by case. Then there's Adam Schefter on the Pat McAfee show yesterday, who says the Colts and Chiefs haven't had any conversations.
Jeez.
The two sides, quote unquote, haven't had any conversations, Colts and Chiefs. I think what Adam Schefter is doing is putting out what Kansas City wants out there. Mm-hmm. Kansas City saying there's not a market for him because we're okay with playing him on the tag. Because Kansas City, as Schefter says in this interview with Pat McAfee, says the Chiefs have no problems right now with playing him on that tag. Of course they don't in the court of public opinion, because then there's actually a market and there's actually leverage on Kansas City's side for him to be traded, because Kansas City needs all of us to believe that he can play on the tag. Therefore, you are simply trading for him, the player, not for him, the big contract that we've got to offload. Because if L'Jarius Sneed can play on the tag, then he deserves higher money if they can, quote unquote, afford to pay him. And I don't think they can. I think they are creating some kind of leverage out there because they want a pick in 2024, knowing that if teams wait them out after the draft, that doesn't help you as a Super Bowl contender immediately. If I'm Kansas City, I need some kind of pick this year because I am in win, not now, but right now mode, as long as Travis Kelce is still a Chief.
Yeah.
That's where I said everybody knows they want to get rid of him because of those reasons right there. They know the price is not what they're willing to pay in Kansas City. Also, it's almost, to me, it's similar to the Justin Fields situation. Everybody knew you had to get rid of him. It's a matter of waiting you out till you feel that pressure. Also, I do think it's more likely he's to play on the tag than almost anything else.
I do too.
And my honest opinion, I think he'd much rather do that, hit the market next year, but he's overexposed in that sense too. What if he doesn't have the same year that he once had the year before? And it comes down to a matter of, does he Now, he can't hold out anymore. They outrule that when it comes down to the new CBA. There's no holdouts for a guy like that. He can hold in. But as far as him having a market, and right now, this late in the process, having a team that's willing to pay him $22+ million a year is a different conversation. He's better off, in my opinion, playing that tag out instead of just going to an uber terrible team to just get the contract. Now, here's the thing. He's already got a couple rings, so he's all right when it comes down to hardware and as far as winning. My thing with the Titans, because that's the original question, is as far as the Titans getting a guy like him. I think you're in a position where you're too far removed to have that level of commitment to a corner. As far as the money that you have and not trying to be out over your skis year after year chasing contracts and restructuring and putting yourself eventually in cap hell. If you're telling me that this team last year was probably second in the AFC South or made a playoff run, okay, now we're cooking with gas. And if we knew more about what Will Levis was going to be as a quarterback, there's so many different questions as to why you can't go get a Snead, to me, as opposed to saying, yeah, we got to go make this a strong team by having this player, that player, and this player. No, you, in my opinion, too far removed from being a serious contender to go pay that type of money for L'Jarius Snead, especially when he's not your guy. Can he play in your system? I think he possibly can. And does it actually benefit you over the building up of this team?
I think it also goes into you just don't have the draft capital to give up. You don't. And we've heard Rand say they're going to be in the mix for things. They're going to be aggressive about things. And we've heard their name about possibly, being in the works for getting Snead. But when it comes down to it, if you can't figure out in terms of a draft pick, and they're willing to give maybe next year a draft pick that's higher, but this year, I just don't feel like there is anything to give up. I mean, they're already trying to see how they could possibly acquire a third-round pick because it's so valuable in so many positions they need to fill this year. And look, you've got to add some defensive positions. Last year went all offense. They still need to continue to build this offense, but you can't forget about this defense, too, that we're talking about right now. There's still major deficiencies.
Here's what they would give up. Pick number 38. And in return, L'Jarius Snead and pick number 64.
So giving a higher second.
Buck Rising made this point last week. Trade seconds and get L'Jarius Snead. Would you take that deal if you're Rand Carthon?
Say that again.
Mm-hmm.
Swap seconds and L'Jarius Snead.
So you just
would move
fall
back,
deeper.
You would move back from 38 to 64.
Yeah. I would.
In the second round.
No.
I would.
Why not?
Because it's still a second-round pick.
That's essentially a third-round pick.
Nah, okay.
Because it's the last pick in the second round.
I wouldn't. It's too much of a commitment to give up such a prime position as far as draft capital goes, to me. To get him, yeah, you fulfill, you replenish a spot that's necessary for this team to have a really good cover-up on that side of the field. I don't like giving it up because I feel like you're in a trade, I can't feel dirtier than you. We both got to feel like we went into the mud pit, right? That's how good deals are, is whenever you feel a little slimy about the deal, and I do too. I think Kansas City relieves their cap when you let a guy like L'Jarius Snead go, and you also get a higher draft pick on top of it than what you did not have. And then, of course, you have the financial commitment to me that I don't think make as much sense this year with where this team has somewhat built itself up. Again, I don't think you can personally bulk shop right now when it comes to building this team up in 1 year. That's just where I am. I think it's a pace thing, and I'm not willing to give up a higher second-round pick just to satisfy their cap is the way I look at it.
Well, and it also goes like what their move's going to be, right? Because if you do take Alt at number 7, then you have a high round second, and you really have your wide receiver on the board that you want to build that room for the future. Because right now the room looks better. It does, by adding Calvin Ridley. No doubt about it. But those are 30-year-old wide receivers in D-Hop and him. You still have to build for the future. So if they see their wide receiver, that very well, there could be a really good one there, higher second round, and they want to take him, like you're going to want that. You're going to want that high second round pick.
I'm concerned about the defensive line. And I think you are defensive line or edge rusher or inside linebacker at pick number 38. That's why in order for me to move back from 38 to 64, you've got to add another pick in there. You've got to add 131 or 159 or 131 in the 4th or 5th round, which then I think tips the scales in your favor. And I don't think Kansas City would do that trade at this point, but it's March 19th. And the closer we get to the draft, I think they want to trade L'Jarius Sneed before this draft because they want that extra wide receiver and that extra cheap playmaker for Patrick Mahomes now. They don't want to wait till 25 in order to do that. They have no incentive to take a 2025 third-round pick from you. They are all about loading up the cupboard for Mahomes right now. I think now, as deep as this wide receiver group is, guys, this team is addressing defense with its second pick.
Very well could be.
Tavondre Sweat from Texas is the guy that I'm eyeing.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me right now, on the defensive line, getting a premium defensive tackle who is younger than Jeffrey Simmons to help Jeffrey Simmons' career be longer and better in Tennessee is now the next biggest priority. And I think you can afford to be a little weaker at inside linebacker if you invest in your defensive line and you make those reads easier for that linebacker because of the holes that you have to run through. Kenneth Murray can play really simple downhill thumper football at inside linebacker if Jeffrey Simmons and Tavondre Sweat are opening up just gaping holes for him to run through and meet a guy in the gap.
Who also prides himself on trying to stay on the field on first and second and third down.
To me, it goes defensive line, inside linebacker, pass rush, and edge rusher. Those are the three things that I think are very incomplete. And there are pass rushers out there that you could bring in close to the vet minimum who could chip in 4 or 5 sacks, right? Like Derek Barnett is a Nashville guy, made a big impact in Houston last year that Philadelphia cut midseason. Those guys are sitting around, but you kind of have that in Rashad Weaver, right? You just need a couple more of them.
Yeah. And we'll see how he gets unlocked also with the addition of Tracy Rocker, all right? If we believe in his coaching style, all right, this is a different technique. Now, most D-line coaches are pretty solid, and Big T was legit in his approach. I don't think he coached him directly. No. But watching what happens with him and that development is huge. But we got to see something out of him. And I like the Tavondre Sweat there. Yeah, I've been a fan.
Yeah, you've been a fan of him.
Yep.
Another new mock draft is dropped this morning. NFL Network's Daniel Jeremiah has chaos in the top 10. We'll explain how next.
It's Ramon Foster for Artisan Custom Closets, man. Don't just clean out the messy areas in your home. Get them organized, okay? With the custom storage solutions available at Artisan Custom Closets. Artisan has options for every budget and can pinpoint any part in your house too, from garages and mud rooms to pantries, home offices, closets, and laundry rooms. Artisan can do it all. Let the local team at Artisan help you get rid of clutter, maximize your space, and just make your day-to-day easier, okay? Meet with their certified senior design consultants to fully customize a solution that fits your space needs for a free consultation at your house. To custom 3D plans that lay out your options and cost an installation process that take less than a day. Artisan makes it easy to create some calm. Reach out to them at 615-800-2199 or visit them at artisancustomclosets.com.
Tuesday morning on RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast, Ramon, Kayla, and Will. We'll reset the headlines coming up for you in 15 minutes. Take a dive into the resume of a player the Titans hosted yesterday. But before the break, we asked you, what is the biggest hole left on the Titans roster? Which position worries you the most? Let's start with Mark in Nashville on the phones. What's up, Mark?
Not much. How you guys doing?
Great.
Good morning.
Good. Hey, Ramon, this is Mark. Wink, wink. If you know what I'm talking about. But so what I see, the biggest need's got to be safety, right? I mean, when's the last time Hooker played a full season? And then we've got to find one to play next to him. Kayla kind of hit the point on the head as well. We have no depth. Now, I feel like a good secondary can make up for a bad, defensive line and vice versa. So I guess my question is, what is easier to find to get good now? Because I feel like if you can get good now in free agency and have a good draft, the rebuild may not take 2 to 3 years. Hopefully it can be a lot quicker. And then, Ramon, I want to shout out RJ. I heard that he put a ball up against the fence. So just want to know if he was spread out. Hang up to listen, guys.
Thank you, Mark.
Appreciate that, Mark. The kid put one up against the fence. He struck out at the second one, but that's baseball. 1 for 2 on the day. Did put one up against the fence, man. He's been working, man. Hitting is something that he said he want to make sure he's on top of, because everybody projects him as a pitcher, but RJ's like, no, I'm going two-way as long as I possibly can, and he smoked one last week.
The one you showed us?
Yeah.
Oh, you could hear it off the bat.
You could hear it off the bat. Yeah, super cool moment for him. That's about him, though. The other question is, what's quickest to build up to the draft and build up so that you're not chasing that rebuild? It's, golly, that's a hard question.
Between safety, linebacker, corner.
Safety, linebacker, and corner. It's probably easier to build up safety.
Yeah. And they're still
because
out there.
it's the idea that, like, I'm telling you, and I said this the other day when we spoke about this, the back end of the defense and offensive linemen are probably the hardest positions to really throw people into. And the best way to learn is to get a veteran guy, if you can, at safety or on the O-line and let a guy learn from him. That way is, hey, I'm not throwing you into the fire. And some people believe, hey, get him in early, get the experience, and, right, as far as, like, projecting it. But if you can get a young safety and teach them up and have them in a position to where they grow and get better over the course of watching and learning, then you got something right there. The same way you put Elijah Molden into nickel dime his rookie year and stuff, right? Now you feel a little bit better about him. Now, of course, he got to stay healthy, stay on the field too, but those are the options that you have when it comes down to that position. So I'm probably saying safety.
David in Lebanon up next on the phones. Go ahead, David.
Good morning, folks.
How we doing?
Kayla Louise. You hadn't been practicing, Kayla, so I don't think you're ready for any pig Latin lessons from me. But you just keep practicing. I'm thinking, hey, throw in Burks. I've been saying that for a long time, kind of jokingly, but hey, and I know he probably has no draft cap or anything, but throw him in with some cash, get somebody, on the defensive side of the ball. So I agree with you guys there. So you guys have a great morning. God bless.
No doubt.
What did he say?
I have no idea.
Did he say something about practicing me or Caleb?
Going to Was it Caleb or Caleb?
I have
I couldn't tell if he was saying Caleb or not.
No clue.
On the Traylon Burks thing and throwing him into a trade for L'Jarius Sneed, I don't know how much of a difference that's really going to make. Like, I'd rather have him. There's no value for Traylon Burks right now.
No, there's not.
He's a receiver with 400 yards. I mean, like, it just...
Look what they got for Justin.
You might as well see what an offensive head coach can do with a guy that you're not going to get anything for.
That's where I'm at.
I mean, if you're a team that thinks that he's a project, but I just feel like that's going way deep into really trying to give up something, which would, be a 7th rounder? Again, you just saw Justin Fields go for a 4th or a 6th, that could be a 4th.
I don't think you'd even get him for a 7th.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm
you'd
saying
have
that'd
to-
be the best.
You'd have to like send Burks and a 7th for like a 6th.
Right.
Y'all know I'm not out on Burks, though. So it's a matter of me, like you said, an offensive head coach making it work for him. I mean, Slaylin Burks will be in here in a minute.
Yeah, you will.
Ron Slade joining us at 9:20 as always. Coming up in hour number 4. Let's go to Kyle in Columbia next. What's up, Kyle?
What's up, Kyle?
Hey, guys, really enjoy the show. I'm loving the conversation this morning, scenarios to make our team better. Buck had me pretty hyped up about the second-round pick swap for Snead, but, Ramon, you brought me down to earth this morning. You brought me back to reality. I'm like you. We're not ready for it. In the second round, TJ Tampa or Max Milton, those corners, they'll be there. Snead was a fourth-round pick. These guys are second-round picks, so I'd rather just go with that and save the money for the tackle Pete or the safety May. Well, what do y'all think about that?
Yeah. I like it, Kyle. And I think you can sign May and Pete for very little and still have a lot of change left to spend because Andrew Pete will cost you what? 1 year, $3.5 million, maybe.
Facts.
I mean, you're getting him for a little over the vet minimum.
Yeah. And to that same point that Kyle just made, like the fourth rounder aspect of it, like we're looking for dudes to be first, second rounders, to be studs. Like, no, sometimes it's development too. Like we've seen that happen time and time again.
The question I have is Roger McCreary an inside corner or an outside corner in Denard Wilson's defense? Because that also makes your decision a bit different, right? You could maybe find a gadget nickel guy that's maybe a bit more raw, but might be more honed in on just being an inside guy the later you go in the draft, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, 100%. I think he's a nickel guy.
I do too.
I'll be real with you when it comes to Roddy. Can he play outside? Yes,
Yeah.
definitely has some flexibility. But I feel better about him being
Me
an
too.
inside guy more than anything.
Because at least in the secondary, there are players that we have seen play for the Titans. On the defensive line right now, you've got Keandre Coburn, who the Titans signed in December from the Chiefs as a starter. Right now in the 2-deep and a 3-4 base set with Marlon Davidson in there as well. Like, these are guys that have played very sparingly for this team.
And have a whole lot of uncertainty behind it. That's why we said earlier, like, I'm not out because I'll say this. Marlon Davidson made plays down the stretch last year too at times, but it comes down to me, the quality of it also. And can you ask him to do that again this year? It's sight unseen with some of these guys as far as how they will play and be in this new system. That's where it's more problematic to me in saying, hey, you weren't bad last year. Run defense, according to Pro Football Reference, they ranked 13th in yards given up and 7th in yards attempted. So the run defense ain't bad. It's a matter of keeping it good so that the secondary can be in a better position to defend.
And all those players are gone.
You don't have Danico yet. God, Danico's been such a solid force.
Exactly.
What if the Titans just brought T.R. Tart back? Mike Vrabel's not here anymore.
They could.
615-737-1045. Hour 4 next. Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft has a chaotic opening to the draft and 2 teams trading in front of the Titans to make interesting picks. Details next. 9:01 for the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Will Bowling. One Titans free agency target went off the board yesterday. Former number 2 overall pick Chase Young plans to sign a 1-year, fully guaranteed $13 million deal with the New Orleans Saints. Young was scheduled to take a visit to Tennessee to meet with the Titans this week. The Titans did host one defensive lineman yesterday, though, in former Chargers tackle Sebastian Joseph Day. Joseph Day was a 6th-round pick in 2018 by the L.A. Rams before signing a 3-year deal with the Chargers and finishing last year in San Francisco. Tonight, the NCAA Tournament begins with the first 4 in Dayton. Howard takes on Wagner at 5:40 on True TV. Virginia takes on Colorado State at 8:10. That one is in the Midwest region, and the winner of Virginia-Colorado State will play Texas, the 7-seed paired with Tennessee. Tonight, the Predators are back at home hosting the San Jose Sharks, finishing off a 4-game road swing where they were 3-0-1. The Preds have secured points in 14 straight games. A win tonight or an overtime loss would tie a franchise record of 15 straight games with a point set by the President's Trophy winning team in 2017 to 2018. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. RKW, Ramon, Kayla, and Will is brewed by 8th and Roasted. It is on your radio dial for 60 more minutes, beginning a beautiful Tuesday morning. The sun is shining and you're living in Nashville, so you're having a beautiful start to your day. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Reed Smith making the show happen. I'm Will Bowling, and in 15 minutes, he is the cure to BVS. No more battered Vol syndrome when Ron Slayland Burks steps into the building, as he will, coming up at 9:20.
I'm pumped. Can I say something real quick that just came out?
Absolutely.
Adam Schefter just announced that Netflix is going to be putting out their newest sports series that is going to follow pass catchers Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and Amon-Ra St. Brown in receiver.
Interesting.
Count me in.
That would be good. Should be must-watch TV if they open it up the way they should. Absolutely.
We have been in an unfortunate run of bad sports documentaries, in my opinion, and Quarterback was excellent.
Yep.
Last year.
Really good. And these guys are exciting,
I saw a little
too.
bit of it. I didn't see all of it.
You didn't see them all?
Yeah, I ain't finished watching it. Seeing Kurt in those button-ups wasn't my best, and those cold button-up wasn't the greatest thing. No, it was good stuff. It was real good stuff.
He's the common man, Kirk Cousins.
He is. It was good stuff, though. Watching Patrick, to me, the biggest point to me was, all right, Patrick Mahomes is great, but seeing what he does outside of just practice was even more phenomenal to me.
Yeah.
The good ones are really good, but the great ones, they take it over the edge, and you can see why he's good and able to last throughout games, the hits, and just the passes and stuff he throws. So, yeah, it was a great insight behind that one.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Good
Did you guys
personalities.
see the ending to the Kirk Cousins, Kyle Pitts jersey conversation?
No.
So Kirk Cousins, in his introductory press conference last week, said, I talked to Kyle about what I needed to give him for number 8. Kirk Cousins has been number 8 in his career. Kyle Pitts has been number 8 with the Atlanta Falcons. And Kirk said, yeah, I offered to pay him. Do you want to watch? Do you want money? Like, what? I'm going to give you something. And Kyle said, well, I just want the ball. Just give me targets. It was announced yesterday that Kirk Cousins will be wearing number 18. So I guess Kyle Pitts will not be getting many targets this year.
Dang, Kyle's just getting screwed there in Atlanta.
I mean, to be fair, Kyle Pitts is a top 10 pick. Like that's a lot of jersey sales out the window. He probably can't do that, but
he could.
He could still.
He could.
I would have got a rose gold presidential Rolex and an Audemars. I'd have got 2 watches. Hey, Kirk, man, what you've gotten documented? What is he, $500 million in earnings?
Dude, all guaranteed.
I'm getting me 2 watches. Like, give me an AP. Yeah, see, I'm talking, and give me a Rolex, 100%.
He's got his own bank at home.
More news this morning as ESPN has finalized its college football playoff television agreement. Agreement for a 6-year extension through 2031, paying $1.3 billion average annually. Revenue, 58% of the SEC/Big Ten, 32% to the ACC/Big 12, 9% to G5, and 1% to Notre Dame. No finalized model, but projections for automatic qualifiers for Power 4 champs, plus the best G5, plus a Notre Dame guarantee via ranking. So, as expected, now finalized.
Via ranking, I mean, they got to be good enough to get in it, like top 12, or they got to be like maybe 20 and they still get in.
It is contingent on the number of automatic qualifiers.
Okay.
Yeah. So, expected to have its own protections, basically taking them away from being penalized for not being in a conference.
Got it.
That's essentially what's going on there.
Oh, Notre Dame.
Want to be special out here.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Notre Dame alum. There's plenty of them in this area too, by the way. There's plenty of everybody's alum in this area.
Now there is.
But the SEC and Big Ten getting 58% apiece. I mean, and splitting that says a lot about where they are and the fact that they have that amount of flex. Greg Sankey, again, this is what you do when you popping in these type of situations. You tell them what you want and they deliver on it, or you don't get us. I think that shows what they're capable of being. And if those two conferences decide to grow even more, it's justifiably they're justifiably paid out now because of this deal. 58% is a nice chunk between two divisions, but they do put the most teams in more times than not. You do what you want when you popping.
So there's a mock draft from Daniel Jeremiah, NFL.com, and it's got some chaos to it.
Love it.
Okay.
Let's go through it. Number 1, Caleb Williams, as expected. Number 2, Drake May in this one, not Jaden Daniels, which would perhaps surprise some. But Daniel Jeremiah has Jaden Daniels going 3rd to New England and J.J. McCarthy going 4th in a trade between the Arizona Cardinals and the Minnesota Vikings.
Wow. Okay.
So the Vikings using their picks, plural, in the first round to move up to number 4. Marvin Harrison Jr. going 5th, not to the Chargers, but to the New York Jets, who in this scenario would trade up to number 5 from 10 to take Marvin Harrison Jr.
Aaron Rodgers to Marvin Harrison Jr.
Malik Neighbors going 6 to the Giants. And at number 7 to the Tennessee Titans. Take a wild guess.
Joe Alt.
That would be correct. Joe Alt at 7. Dallas Turner at 8. Roma Dunze 9 to Chicago. And then the Chargers finalizing the top 10 with Tale Fuaga. Not taking receiver, which is interesting. But that is the Jim Harbaugh way of life. Run the football, play defense.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if the camps of Malik Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr. feel like it's a bit of a slight if they get overtaken by the quarterback draft. Like, they're projected to be top guys, and they'll be fine in their careers, right? But the idea that you can be number 3 or number 2 instead of 5 and 6, I mean, that's a significant amount of money that you lose because of the quarterback draft and the need that these teams will have. You can't be mad at it. The ascension of J.J. McCarthy, though, to me, has been one of the more fascinating situations. Mm-hmm. And if teams do get desperate, like Minnesota, to go get a dude like him, you can't be mad at it. I mean, you're still a top 10 pick, but I'd much rather be, 3 or 4 instead of 6 and 7 or 5 and 6.
And that's what's interesting to me. Like, is Arizona is their mouths watering over the possibility or the good possibility that they can get Marvin Harrison Jr. at that spot? And if they're not, then they're going to make a trade like that. Okay, well, then you're not that intrigued by what this guy could be, because this is, in my opinion, one of those dudes that comes around once in a while. And when you could probably get him by staying in that spot, if they don't, then it just goes to show maybe that's just not what they think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's got to fit their system and everything they want out of it. But that's a lot of capital for a team like Arizona, who's on the fringe, too. I mean, as popular as their quarterback can be, they really have netted nothing when it comes down to what they can be or what they expected him to be.
How much would a Sebastian Joseph Day signing alleviate some of your Titans' defensive concerns?
clears up a little bit the depth, the questions behind a veteran-type player when it comes down to what he's capable of doing. A quick twitch type of dude, can get in the backfield, can make explosion plays for you. I'm not opposed to it. Does it ease me over entirely? No, not necessarily, but he's a body that's a veteran around this league, Super Bowl winner, played next to a guy like Aaron Donald in his young career. Understand what it takes. And it's also the connection that he had in San Francisco, not with Rand, but just the team. So there's a quality of guy that they like. I'm sure Rand probably kicked the tires on him to see what he can get out of him also. But it all depends upon the price. And on the second wave of free agency, he's a guy that probably is a good deal to have.
Because he had come over from the Chargers, so he was only in San Francisco 1 year, right?
Not even one full year.
Not even one
just
full
for
year.
a few weeks. Okay. He was cut by the Chargers late last season.
Yeah.
But Rand Carthon comes from the organization that originally drafted Sebastian Joseph Day as well. They did not overlap because Rand became director of pro personnel for the 49ers in 2017, and the Rams, his former employer before that, drafted Sebastian Joseph Day in 2018. But he went from L.A. to San Francisco. 3 sacks last season.
Plays over the ball, get upfield, attacking type of guy. If that's the type of dude that Denard Wilson wants for his defense and have described it, this is one of your dudes.
6'4", 310, a 2018 6th-round pick out of Rutgers. By the LA Rams.
Yeah.
Let's go to Chris in Nashville quickly before we go to break and get to Slay on the other side. What's up, Chris?
Hey, guys. Good morning.
Morning.
Hey, real quick, I know this has probably been talked about a million times. I just want y'all's opinion on if Brock Bowers is available. Do we land him? Is there enough offensive line depth throughout the draft to where we could still make ends meet? As a longtime Georgia fan and Titans fan, I've never seen a guy demand as much offensive presence as Brock Bowers. I mean, he'd get doubled and triple teamed the entire game, and he'd still catch the ball. We'd have 100,000 people in the stands knowing who's getting the ball, including defensive coordinator, and he would still get the ball. It came back from tightrope surgery at about 65%. He was still getting double teamed. So I'm just wondering, are we overanalyzing it? And I could sound biased. Is he a generational talent, or do we just skip him, get what we need from a tackle standpoint, and move on? And I hang up.
Thank you, Chris. In my opinion, Brock Bowers is not good enough to warrant the number 7 overall pick. If you are selecting Brock Bowers, it means you've traded back between 12 and 20 is what PFF draft analyst Trevor Sikkema told us a few weeks ago.
Yeah. I like him. I think he's a real talent, and I think he's going to help someone's football team become better. It's just in this spot, in this situation with the offensive line the way it is, you have to start shoring it up. You have to get the homegrown guys. So you've got to, in my opinion, still take that tackle.
The track record of first-round tight ends is not good.
No.
Not good at all. Coming up next, Ron Slay cures battered Vol syndrome. He'll explain why the Vols looked so bad against Mississippi State last week and how much he likes Tennessee's draw through the Midwest region. Next.
Hey, it's Kaylin Ramon with Window Nation, and March is finally here. Heck, we're almost done with March if you think about it. But the good thing is spring is officially here as of tonight, and that means hopefully the weather will be getting better. And it's a time that you can actually maybe open your windows and check them out to make sure they're doing what they need to do. But if yours are cracked, if they are leaking, if they won't open properly, that is a warning sign, and that means you probably need to invest in new windows from Window Nation. And now is the time to call them. Window Nation is having a great deal. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, plus 0 down, 0 interest, 0 payments for 24 months.
And the reason that's the case, Window Nation has a lot of trust with 96% of their windows requiring no follow-up service. And that's because the average installer has over 16 years of experience with over 20,000 windows installed, okay? You can trust them. Another cool thing is over 1,500 custom vinyl window combinations available. So you're just not pigeonholed into selecting just 5 types of windows. As Kayla just told you, buy 2 windows, get 2 windows free and pay nothing with no interest for 2 full years. Call them at 866-90-NATION or go online to windownation.com.
Tuesday morning on RKW, brewed by 8th and Roast, Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. Robert Walsh out this morning. Reed Smith in. Do we know where Ron Slay is?
Somewhere. I think he should be coming in.
Where in the world is Ron Slay?
Where in the world is Ronald Slay?
We need to show Slay the video I took of all the kids flocking around him at the SEC tournament. Just children everywhere, just asking for him to sign literally anything in the world.
Cheering.
That's
hey,
great.
Ron Slay love the kids, baby. Ron Slay love the kids, baby, and they love him back, man.
He should just carry a thing of headbands and just sign those.
Should. I'm sure Adidas stock went up when he started wearing, because I had me a couple, too.
Yeah, we ordered
some. Absolutely.
I always remember the way he wore the headband and the way Wayne Chisholm wore the headband was a big thing back in the day at Tennessee, because Wayne would wear it on like the back of his head, and it would just be around literally the back of his head, like halfway up his head.
Oh my gosh.
The pride of Bolivar, Tennessee.
I played against Wayne in high school. What a goofball, man. It's just hilarious.
Wheezy.
Dude. Wheezy. He's just a funny dude.
His nickname.
Kayla. Played against him, man. Pretty solid, too. Of course. He made it UT D1.
Yeah.
He was the first guy my brother ever interviewed in his TV career.
Wayne?
Was Wayne Chisholm.
Huh.
The pride of Bolivar Central High School.
Bolivar Central. Ron Slay is coming in, too. Coming in is what he said. He'll be here in a second. That's usually how it goes. He came in on Buck yesterday, man. Said
he
Buck
did?
had the mood set in here with the lights all low.
Yeah, Buck immediately lowers the blinds, turns all these lights off that we have on, and then changes the color of the backlight.
What's he?
If you're watching on Zone TV, I don't know, usually blue to match his
Ours
mood.
is red.
Orange.
Blue
oranges,
man.
We
guess,
make
yeah.
because our logo is orange, so I always make it orange when I walk in.
Got you. Slay's been busy. We were supposed to have a cigar session this past week, and I knew he wasn't gonna show because he didn't need to show up either. My dog's
big
been
weekend.
busy as heck, man. Gonna see if he gonna call some games in the upcoming NCAA tournament. Well, probably an NIT or something like that first. You know, Ron Slay, they ain't ready for the world just yet. Okay,
Right.
Gotta just give a little doses of them.
He had Vandy and Yale last year in the NIT
Tough right there.
under former Vanderbilt coach Jerry Stackhouse.
That's
I can't believe that still happened. I can't
I
believe
know.
that still happened.
Seems like it just happened like a year ago, but it just happened.
It did. He's got to open up that pocketbook a little bit more. I'm starting to call it that. The pocketbook is what we're gonna call a wallet.
I'll be curious to see who they hire, though. I really will. I'm curious who will take the step, the jump, the I guess risk, because it has been a tough job to get the job done. We've seen that with Bryce Drew and now Stackhouse not being there.
And it sounds like Indiana State's Josh Schertz is off the board and that he is heading to St. Louis.
Okay.
To SLU.
What's that?
SLU, St. Louis University.
Okay, I was about to say this.
We'll see.
SLU. I thought that was a mascot or something because you played a mascot game. I'm like, the SLU is a mascot. What is a SLU?
Well, what is the St. Louis'
He's in the
mascot? Do you
building.
know?
Hey, man.
Do you know what their mascot is?
A slug?
The St. Louis mascot?
No, I do not. I'm not even going to guess.
Reed, you know this one? Not the Salukis.
That's
What college is it?
Illinois
St. Louis
State.
University. This is an easy one, guys.
No, I don't.
Tigers.
The Worms.
The Billikens. St. Louis Billikens.
You
The
knew that?
Toads.
Slay knew it. Slay knows ball.
Billikens? That's fair.
I've
I
called
had
a track
no
meet
idea.
at St. Louis University.
You did?
Remotely, but it was on their track, yeah.
But it was terrible.
I'm sure tens of people watched
Where the
it.
great Larry Hughes came from.
That's
man.
right. Good morning, Ron Slay.
What up, dog?
What's a billiken?
Yeah, don't even.
It's like a devil kind of thing.
Let me get that cold-blooded winning bracket though.
I see it. I peeped you out earlier.
Bad boy right here,
You
Drew.
put dollar signs next to your name in the S.
Oh man, I always done signed it like that.
A Billiken is a mythical good luck figure who represents, quote, things as they ought to be.
So it's a leprechaun.
His figure was reproduced as dolls, pickle forks, belt buckles, like that. I don't know. It looks like a little devil with
Sounds
like
awful.
little
A rabbit
ears.
foot.
Anyway, Ron Slay's
Couldn't
here.
be
What's
my
up, Slay?
mascot.
Little character from Lord of the Rings or something.
Honestly, that's kind of what it sounds like.
Right?
Yeah, I'll take it. Little Hobbit. Little Hobbit. Man, what's happening, y'all?
You were the busiest man in show business again last weekend. How was it?
I was cool,
SEC
man. It
tournament.
was cool. Tiring, exhausting, but it was good, though. I think when you're in the arena, it's different. If we had to go do that from the studio and cover it all day long like that, it'd be a little different. But being in there back-to-back days with the energy, that was the SEC's in a good spot, man. Because when you get your top 3 teams eliminated with the fan bases that come with those teams, and it's still a full arena, that's saying a whole lot. That's saying a whole lot, man.
And I wanted to ask you about that because the stat going around right now is the one about no team has ever won a national championship after losing their first game and not making the semifinals of their conference tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Could you make an exception for Tennessee, Kentucky, and Alabama just considering the depth of the SEC and how good their opponents were?
Yeah, that makes zero sense to me when you use that stat, when people use that stat and stand on it, just for the simple fact that's what we talked about all year, the strength of the conference. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you sell everyone else short? And it was a 1-game lead from first to 6. Like, the 6 teams not that bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, they had an opportunity to be first, 2 losses away. The 5th team is not that bad. They had an opportunity to win the league and was in control of the league the entire conference schedule. Like, it's crazy to me, man. You got to have talking points, I guess, when people come out with it, and it's easy to go throw numbers out there. That's why I'm an eye test guy, man. They can have all the numbers. Give me the team that's rolling, and I'm going to tell you what they can do. I'm going to tell you what they look like, how they can go about winning, how they can continue to keep those trends going. But all the numbers and stuff, numbers never matter to me. And that ain't nothing. You got to get out there and play. That's what I like.
What do you think about Tennessee's draw on the Midwest region?
I thought it was good. I thought they got the easiest, probably outside of the East is a gauntlet. That's a gauntlet. The West pretty tough too. The West is solid, but that Midwest, I would if I had to pick one to be in, I'd probably go to the Midwest. Just because of the styles of play of these teams, a lot of them new teams that's trying to get going, new or second year coaches that are in that part. The South ain't bad either. You know, you just got a lot of hot teams, you know what I'm saying, that were early in the year trying to rekindle some things. But, yeah, I think they got a great draw in the Midwest. Getting that 2 seed, being on the opposite end of Purdue. You got South Carolina, Oregon. You got to see Creighton pretty good. Texas, if they win, they pretty good. Like, it's so many storylines. I think that's the greatest thing about NCAA tournament, man. Like, they do a great job scheduling and putting people together. South Carolina playing old teammates that were on their team last year, and other guys that were in the SEC with that transfer portal the way it is. Purdue, you know what that means if they get the matchup with Tennessee. It's always some bad blood right there. So that's going to be good. Painter and Barnes get to go at it, man.
You think Auburn got hosed? Speaking of Auburn, I saw this story this morning because it's in my hometown, Spokane.
Mm-hmm.
Auburn and Alabama are both up there. They're both staying at the same hotel.
That's good.
It's hilarious. Like you get this Auburn team that wins the tournament,
Mm-hmm.
and it looks like that's a tough place to ship them out to.
Yeah, and as bad as it is, Auburn versus Alabama, that rivalry, they get to come together on this one. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Go chiff each other, SEC through it all. But I think it's bad. When you look at 3 of the last year Final Four teams in the same pod, not even just the same region, in the same pod with San Diego State, UConn, and FAU. Like, seeing all of those teams by the time you get to the Sweet 16 is nuts. Like Bruce Pearl, he got a point, man, and a lot of times he just be screaming and being loud, but this time, man, he is spot on about it. Stephen Pearl echoed some of those sentiments, and I think, man, when you look at it, that ain't right. That ain't right. You got UAB up there too. Andy Kennedy got a hot team that's rolling, so I guess it was we're going to send everybody from Alabama all the way to the West Coast.
Welcome.
Yeah, they out there. They way out there. That's for sure. It's going to be good, though. I will say there's some good competition right there. Hopefully it lives up to the billing.
As far as upsets, it's been one of the main things everybody talks about in March Madness, right, Savage?
That's right.
Who you got, McNeese? It's been a Cinderella. I've been on this Grand Canyon train for a little while.
Tony Harris called him.
Tony Harris. Hey, man. Hey, look, never know who's going to call the
legend. No, man. It's a legend right there.
Never
West
know who's
Tennessee.
going to call him.
My bad, Savage.
No, all good, man. Who you got as your upsets as far as McNeese,
Man.
Grand Canyon? Who else is in this conversation, man? Washington State can make some hay in this, man. Where
He's
you
got
at?
him getting upset.
Yeah, I do.
He has no faith in my Cougs.
No, man. I just think at some point you got to pick. You got to pick an upset, man, and this is tough. I think they're going up against a hot Drake team that can score the rock. I do think Washington State is good. You know, they got to be good to get to that point and win the conference tournament. So I mean they
We'll
rocking.
see.
I think
Yeah,
Drake is just hot. I'm going with the hot team on that one. I also went with McNeese State to get Gonzaga. So I mean,
That's a popular one.
Yeah, it is. I just like what Will Wade brings, and he was able to go get some really good players right there in the state of Louisiana and keep that thing rolling. That was an interesting one. Who was James Madison over Wisconsin?
Yeah, I like that.
I think JMU is going to be good. That's one of my upsets. I like what I saw from them early in the year. Didn't follow them too much in the latter part because of all the SEC stuff going on, but those dudes just get out there and hoop, and they ain't scared. They really love the stage, the bright lights. They showed up in them. Who else did I have? Let me see.
I got one because they upset.
Savage?
Is this Auburn and Alabama going to the Pacific Northwest? Do they find themselves too emotional, being upset, and letting that be a part of why they're upset? I mean, why it's an issue, a distraction?
No, I don't think so.
Saying.
I think I think Bruce. That's what Bruce leans into. That's his MO, and he'll tell us if he came in right now. No, we're not worried about that, this, that. But when he get in that locker room, totally different story. I remember talking to him at SEC Media Day, and I was walking with him and like, man, they got y'all, man. They talking about 4th, 5th, 6th. Y'all gonna finish? I said, boy, you got some real motivation right now. Oh no, we ain't worried about that, Slade. We ain't. Come on, man. You know he played that up. Come on, stop. Come on, Bruce.
You've seen him in the locker room in those speeches.
I'm trying to figure out who. I always tell him, like, who you think you talking to?
Yeah, right.
Like, come on, dog. This is me. Come on. I've been there with you, dog. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I know what it is, and he got a veteran group. You know what I mean? All them dudes coming back. That's all they need. All of them are emotional anyway. You know what I'm saying? So anything that they can get to kind of point at to be, hey, man, this is what we got to do. They disrespect us. They say we can't beat it. We can't play outside the jungle. They use that all the way through the SEC tournament. Now they'll use this getting all the way to the Sweet 16. That's what they do, man.
Slay, when you look at Creighton, the 3 seed matched up with Tennessee, maybe glad to miss a team like Iowa State that going into this last week would have been on that 3 seed line. Obviously, they're running the Big 12 tournament, perhaps bumps them up to a 2 line. In terms of pace of play, that would have been totally contrasting styles and kind of like playing Virginia, but actually good this year if you'd played Iowa State. But Creighton's got a 7'1", 270-pound center in Ryan Kalkbrenner.
Yeah.
They've got 3 players from Houston High School who, funny enough, I called their state title win over Brandon Miller and Cane Ridge when Mike Miller was the head coach, and now his son Mason is a 6'9" wing forward for Creighton.
Yep.
I say all that to say that Creighton is not built like a mid-major team. They're not built like a team with a bunch of 6'2" white dudes that are going to shoot the 3 respectfully. They've got a 7'1", 270-pound center, and Tennessee just struggled against a big center like Tolu Smith in the NCAA tournament. I know there's a lot that has to happen for Tennessee to match up with Creighton, and South Carolina and Oregon are both going to be tough matchups for them if they can get past the 14 seed first. But when you look at Creighton specifically, is that a good or bad matchup for Tennessee?
Man, I think it's an okay matchup. I ain't gonna say it's good or bad. I think it's right there middle of the road, just because of the styles. Tennessee can adjust to playing. I'm not sure if Creighton can adjust to playing other people's style. Like if it goes Creighton's way, then of course it's gonna be good for them. But if they have to adjust to what UT is doing, then it should be different. And this situation, I know the last thought for everybody is the SEC tournament or conference tournaments, whatever it may be. And talking to other coaches, man, they were just like, man, the bully got bullied. You know what I'm saying? When you look at the way Tennessee shook out in that SEC tournament, I don't see that happening consistently. You know what I mean? You could think about the outlier games where they were bullied in it. Texas A&M was one. At Mississippi State was one. And then Mississippi State again. It doesn't happen that often. So I'm fine with where Tennessee is. And if they were to play Creighton, could Creighton adjust to that physicality of play that is expected from Tennessee? And the way it'll be led by Zakai and getting guys like Jonas Adu going, even if he had to come out and Tobey hit big fella in the ribs a couple of times. That wasn't a good showing by Tobey. That wasn't a good showing overall by Tennessee. So I expect them to bounce back. And from what I'm hearing, man, behind the scenes, they focus. So
wake up call.
We'll see. Mm-hmm.
Is JP Estrella earning more opportunities as a defensive player inside? I know Rick Barnes after the game said, I should have put JP in earlier because I know he'll at least go defend somebody.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is energy, and it's hard to see the energy that Jonas Adu brings because he's so stoic and keeps the same facial expression, don't get too high, too low. And sometimes you want to see the push and the growl and all of that, the dog come out. Even though it's in there, it's just you like to see it. You know what I mean? We use it a little differently when you don't have to tap into the inner dog. You know what I mean? And it's already out there. So it's trouble, man, if he's playing that way, but Estrella is a guy that can give you 6 or 7 minutes a game. He don't need to be going over 10, 12 minutes, though.
Mm-hmm.
We have breaking news.
Is that right?
Okay.
The Titans have signed a player.
Whoa.
Me.
Let's go.
We'll tell you who next.
Ooh.
When it comes to large home repairs, a lot of time we homeowners pretend we don't see the warning signs. We're afraid of what we're going to hear. This is especially true with waterproofing and foundation repair. It could be something big that needs to be fixed right away, or maybe a small problem now that'll become bigger later, or maybe nothing at all. Bottom line, we don't know. We certainly don't want to be sold something we don't need. We need a peace of mind. And United Structural Systems is the company to give you that. With over 25,000 100% satisfied residential customers, here's how they make that happen. When USS comes out to your house, you're going to get a problem solver who provides that peace of mind to you, the customer, the homeowner. You're not going to get someone who's worried about meeting a sales quota or upselling the next big thing, but someone there to educate you and help you understand what is happening with your home. At USS, their only measure of success is how satisfied the homeowner is and not a closing ratio. Homeowners trust USS, keeping homes dry and stable for over 25 years. Serving Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, Western Kentucky. You can reach them online at USSTN.com or call them 615-488-7855.
Tuesday morning on RKW, brewed by 8th and Rose, Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Ron Slay in studio.
I'm in here.
Yeah.
We off in here.
Titans are making a move.
Who they signed, Will Lee?
They have signed Los Angeles Chargers and San Francisco 49ers defensive tackle Sebastian Joseph Day. 1-year deal, according to Jason McCourty.
Okay.
Look at that former Titan breaking news.
Capital J and Jason.
I
There you
see
go.
that.
See you, McCourty.
With the Rutgers connection right there.
Yeah, they both. That's right. That's the
Yes.
connection.
That's
That's
the
how I
connection
got
right
that.
there.
Look at that.
There's your defensive tackle.
There we go. All right, got that satisfied. Let's move to the back end of the defense. That'd be good for Jeff, though. Got a guy with some experience.
Yeah.
Also, is a rotation guy. Like I said, had some young fellas last year that made some plays for you, but they were signed late, and they were in those fill-in roles more than anything. So that'd be good.
I like it.
Yeah.
Slay, what in the world happened against Mississippi State? I know we move on. There's a new tournament now, and there are things to change from that game, but it just was very unlike that team to come out in the way they did.
Yeah, I think the missing the shots, and in a sense not matching the physicality, but when you look at it in the Friday games, I keep asking people to tell me what happened differently in those Friday game matchups that were different during the year. You know what I'm saying? Like, people want you to put a pin on exactly what went wrong. Like, Josiah's left shoe wasn't tied up tight enough, or Santi headband that he was wearing his shoot around, he didn't wear it in the game. Like, I can't put nothing. It's a match-up problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, Yoro asked me on our show on 3HL leading into the tournament, like, which team would you rather play, Mississippi State or LSU? And I said, of course, LSU. They match up better against LSU. Mississippi State will probably win because they're on the bubble. They need it worse than anyone. If they get to play Tennessee, it's going to be a matchup problem. The same thing I said leading into when they played them in the hump. It was just able to cut that margin down as far as the score was involved, because Dalton Connect caught fire at the end, and he made it a little closer than it really was. So that's what it is, man. It's no ifs, ands, or buts. The same thing Florida and Alabama playing. Florida should have beat Alabama 3 times this year. They let one slip away in overtime at Alabama. They dogged them at Florida. You know what I'm saying? They dogged them in the tournament. Same thing for South Carolina. They were the number 1 team in the SEC pretty much throughout the entire year. What happened when they went to Neville Arena? Got blasted. What happened when they played Auburn in the tournament? Got blasted. I mean, what happened with Texas A&M and Kentucky? Texas A&M beat Kentucky in A&M. You know what I'm saying? What did Texas A&M do to Kentucky in the tournament when they was hot? Beat them it's like, it's matchups, man. And sometimes when you see a team and you're in conference play, that's why it's always impressive for guys to go out and put numbers up when you get to conference play. You're just like, dang, man, the tape is out. Yeah. We know the breakdown of them. We know the scout on them, and they still go out here and put numbers up. It's different. Same thing in the tournament. Once you get to the tournament, imagine these teams. You're not finna go see no Mississippi State team that knows you like this in the tournament. I'm sorry. You're going to have to get a team to get hot or something,
right.
Great game plan or something, but when it's mano a mano, ain't no ifs, ands, or buts. SEC is top notch, top to bottom.
Is it different in March Madness, though, with a matchup that might, how do you overcome that then with a bad matchup in March Madness?
Yeah, the bad matchup would happen if it was bad shooting.
Okay.
To me, the matchup problem would be a one position thing. I think overall with Mississippi State, the matchup was different as a team. You know what I'm saying? Like, you had Cam Matthews, Tolu Smith, DJ Jeffries, Murphy. The list can go on and on as far as 6'8", 6'9". With Diesel, they really should be playing football. You know what I mean? Like, it's different. So I don't see them matching up with anybody, especially in this bracket.
Yep.
Right here. Like, this is this is pretty good right here. This
clean.
Is pretty good. Yeah, this is a pretty good bracket for them right here. But yeah, and I don't see any other teams like Mississippi State outside of Michigan State. And guess who they match up with in the first round? Michigan State, Mississippi State. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's weird, man. The matchups are serious, and then you can't account for people getting hot and taking the team on a run. But there you go.
Does Zakai at least once try to bam on his brother just one time? Does he take off on him? Does he get in a one-on-one matchup with him, Savage? Like, I got to break him down one time.
It might be a cross match once or twice, but I think the wing's going to have to handle him being about 6'5", you know what I mean? Zakai, he may want to stay away from that, you know what I mean? Then there might be that big brother, little brother, you know what I mean, type little battle they have going on, so. Yeah, I think it's going to be fun, though, man. We had my guy that I played with, Keegan Clark, that played at St. Peter's. We had him on last year. He was my teammate in Italy for a while, and he's on the assistant coaching staff now with St. Peter's. So it's a lot of storylines, man. I hit him up, told him good luck. He was like, "We see y'all soon." So he already trash talking from New York. So this is gonna be good, man. It's gonna be good.
This St. Peter's team obviously very different from the one that went on the run a couple of years ago. None of those players are really still there.
Right.
The coach isn't still there.
Right.
Not anything. I know the name is going to scare some Tennessee fans, but there's not a whole lot to be afraid of. Anything can happen, obviously.
Without question. It's just you got the fabric there, you know what I'm saying? Them carrying on the torch from what was laid before from Shaheem Holloway and people like that. But, yeah, this is a totally different team. You see St. Peter's, you automatically think, oh. I remember.
The Peacocks.
Just be cool, y'all. Be cool. This is different.
Be cool.
Yeah, this ain't St. Louis now.
And this ain't Kentucky either because, that was the SEC team. St. Peter's got to beat that time.
That's
It's Kentucky.
Not too long ago.
It was.
Slade, the people, maybe I'm just orange-tinted glasses, but the people picking Kentucky to make a run,
it's wild to me.
have they watched them play defense all season?
Listen, I said it to Buck yesterday when he called it out on the show. He was like, man, I see Kentucky making a run. And my question is, they got blasted too.
How?
They play the same way.
I don't understand.
They're inconsistent as all,
That's what it is. But if you're not going to let me use the leg to stand over with talking about matchups, you can't use it with Kentucky either. You know what I'm saying? You can't use it with Alabama either. Like, you can't use Tennessee as an outlier and say they got blowed out and then disregard what happened with Houston.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
inconsistent.
it's weird, but this is what it's about. This is the madness, man.
I love it.
Let it go.
He is Ron Slade. Tuesdays on RKW, every weekday on 3HL, and on your television set on SEC Network as well. Slade, thank you.
Thanks, Slade.
No doubt, baby.
Savage?
No
Coming
doubt.
up tomorrow morning, we'll have Jerry Palm of CBS Sports to break down the brackets with us. We'll have Rhett Bryan at Titans Radio. We'll have you as well. And right now, you have words of wisdom courtesy of Ramon Aloysius Foster.
Y'all got to remember, man, at all times, okay, you not run Slay, okay? Slayville is still in effect, but your Twitter fingers and your mic is always hot, baby.
Scorching.